Good morning, idiots. Yeah, you did that too fucking early, Aaron, and I'm not even gonna refund it. That was a waste. I hydrated off screen. You didn't even see the bump. The bonk. You didn't fucking see it. Good morning, pervs. That's right, perverts. Idiots. Fucking let's talk for a minute. Instant praise from Eve right off the bat. How? All right. Ah, and a bonk. Okay. Let me do the thing I usually do, where I increase the price of praise now that someone's redeemed it. Let's see here. Creator dashboard. I gotta go to a whole fucking specific menu on the web page. Yes, manage. Splat! Fine. I'm hydrating with my coffee. Stop. Everyone attacks me. What, are you trying to discourage me from increasing the price? If I get too many bonks while I'm increasing the price, I'm gonna make it higher than I normally do. I'm gonna hike the increase further. Google dove inflation to find out why. I've done that bit so many times. Eventually it's not gonna even like cross my mind. Okay, praise is now 23K. Eve. Can you hear me out there? In the relatively short time that you have been in this Dove Bleeding Heart community, all of my dumb fucking sluts, you have shown yourself to be an emphatic, friendly, and very good dog. You are obedient, I want to say 90% of the time. And that's really good considering some of you fuckers. Eve is leading by example right now. Everyone say thank you at all_Hallows Eve. Everyone say thank you. Okay? Because this dog is out here putting in the work like few others can claim. Eve, it is always a delight to have you in chat, and I'm so thrilled that you've saved up enough doses to actually redeem this praise. You deserve it. You deserve it. I think that I'm going to give you a little treat. You've been such a good boy. I'll bite you anywhere you want once. Not there, though. The second place that came to mind. Not the first place, the second place that came to mind. Because you still only obey 90% of the time. And that's not acceptable. Yeah, you can clip me talking dirty to you on the mic. That's a little present for you. Mwah. I hope that was worth your 22,000 pills, idiot. The next sentence, I was gonna clip it ASAP. That's a lot of pills. You gotta swallow a lot of pills to get me to say good boy to you like that. So, gang, today we're playing more Vampyr. But listen, we have something to investigate first. I am thrilled, absolutely thrilled, that my Igor 2 rant from some time ago is becoming something of an in-group cultural sort of touchstone for us. Because it signals to me that I've cultivated an audience that is interested in, broadly, the things that I'm interested in, which is to say, trash. We love trash. So I'm going to share with you something that came to my attention vis-a-vis movie trash relatively recently. Let me just... Okay, well, no, that's still on the bear. Welcome. Oh, I didn't even say my hellos to everyone. First, let me say my hellos to everyone. It's Stop! Stop. Okay. Good morning, Caro. Good job of being first again. Fucking wild, dude. Good morning, Gloam. Eve. Let's see. Aspen, welcome in. Aaron, hi. And JC. Stop. Seeing that pineapple moving on my peripheral fucking freaked me out. Hi, Kobold. Let's see here. And EchoNet. Making pasta salad, being pissed at my family as everyone else. Well, we're about to improve your mood because, hey, everyone, we've got some trash to investigate, okay? Let me reposition this bad boy. All right. Now this is our fruit video that we love to watch. You know, you love them. But on another tab, first I want to show you, this is a movie I like to hate. This is called Howard Lovecraft and the Frozen Kingdom. It's the first installment in a trilogy. Listen, I just need to share this with you because it's this isn't the focus. This isn't the focus of our detour today, but it's important. It's important. And I need to touch upon it. I think I've heard of it once. So listen, this is not a good movie. Apparently, it comes from a comic series that is allegedly good, but it's not a good movie. You can see Cthulhu right here. He's like a dog. They make him like a dog in this one. I don't know. Listen, the movie sucks ass, okay? I just want to share this with you because there's a whole trilogy called Howard Lovecraft and the Frozen Kingdom, Howard Lovecraft and the Undersea Kingdom, and then Howard Lovecraft and the Kingdom of Madness, right? He goes to three worlds or whatever. I've seen the first one all the way through. It was hard. It was hard to watch. But the thing is, and this is really important, I'm bringing this up as a contrast material. All right? I'm bringing this up as contrast material because you can tell that whoever made this into a film was not passionate, did not care about the material at all. Welcome in, Zach. You can tell whoever made this movie was just doing it to put out some functionally some shovelware for your eyes. And they took someone's comic book that they worked really hard on and they made it into this. I will give credit where credit's due. Despite the art style making his head so big, Howard's design is pretty good. I like how they made the kid look. He doesn't look like that in the comics. But I like how this is a cute face. This is a cute face. He gives Artemis Fowl kind of vibes. Like, it's fine. It's fine. I don't hate him. But here's the thing. You can tell that whoever made this movie got the rights to the comic book material and pushed out some random low-grade trash. But here's the problem. Compare that to a passion project that I've discovered recently. Everyone, I want to introduce you to The Dolphin, Story of a Dreamer. Would you like to juice him? No, it's too much head. This is The Dolphin, Story of a Dreamer. It how can I describe this? How can I describe what's important to me? I'm going to introduce you all to a character that is relevant to this movie. All right? You may be familiar with him. His name is Goro Akechi. He's from Persona 5. He's pretty fuckable. You know him? Look at him go. Yeah, no, this is relevant to Dolphin's Story of a Dreamer. Because Goro Akechi is voiced by a fellow named Robbie Daymond. Robbie Daymond is a really good voice actor. Echo Knight, I prefer you did not. It sounds like it's going to be kind of a downer, and I'm trying to lock in on something here. Thank you for asking. Robbie Daymond is the voice of Goro Akechi in Persona 5 English, and he does an excellent work. We love Robbie Daymond. His performance, stellar. I have a lot of qualms with the Persona series, but its acting is not one of them. But this is Dolphin's Story of a Dreamer, and the first thing that you're going to expect me to say as Dove Bleeding Heart is Robbie Daymond is the voice of the dolphin. He is. But that's not the only thing. He's also one of the directors.
Told.
You weren't expecting that one, were you?
Immerse yourself in the most extraordinary story ever told. It's a story of courage.
Stay away! This sea urchin on my tentacles is a deadly weapon!
Intelligence.
Of course! That's why when I eat them, they don't speak anymore.
Danger.
Don't mess with me or my big fish, or else I'm gonna suck out your eye.
And charm.
How's that?
They live in a world where dreams are forbidden.
Oh, there you go again. It's like you don't know the rules.
Yeah, I know. Fishing, fishing, and more fishing. I'm getting pretty sick and tired of fishing.
There is one who will change everything.
Maybe you don't know it yet, but you were born to change the world.
Isn't there something you wish for with all of your heart?
Dolphin Films and 20th Century Fox invite you to an adventure you will never forget. Join Daniel Alexander Dolphin on a journey of destiny.
Are you ready?
I was born ready!
And mystery.
Something's out there haunting us.
The dreamer is finally out.
What are you?
Your worst nightmare.
Face your fears.
You will never steal my dreams.
So yeah, Dolphin, Story of a Dreamer. So yeah, fucking wild, right? It's too scary for me. I know it's pretty scary. It's pretty scary. Listen, gang, I'm obsessed. I'm absolutely obsessed. Okay? This is the amazing story of Daniel Alexander Dolphin is the character's name. Daniel Alexander Dolphin. Okay? Okay? I want you to ask yourself, have you ever met anyone on this planet named Daniel Alexander Human? Why would they make that decision? Oh my god. He sounds like a founding father. He does. Oh my god. There he is, Robbie Daymond. The Dreamer is waking up, made me fucking think of some lunatic BS. Honestly, it reminded me of like the vanishing of Ethan Carter, right? Like the fucking people who gave stars saw the movie. This is among the worst of children's films. Longest Saturday morning TV show ever. Horrific, disgusting, and vomit-inducing. Amanda Campos has got your fucking number, okay? This movie is by far the absolute worst movie I've ever seen. The voice of the characters frightened my young cousins and made them cry. I strongly recommend to every age group to never ever watch this movie. If I was stranded on a desert island with only this movie and a terrarium full of scorpions, and I was forced to eat the scorpions or watch this movie, I'd eat the scorpions without hesitation. I hope you receive this message and take my word for it. Amanda Campos has got you by the fucking throat, Robbie Daymond. Goro Akechi had better look the fuck out. Daddy, what's wrong with this movie? A notable lack of respect for children. I put this movie on a whim, primarily on the basis that there have been some halfway decent movies available of late from lesser-known studios in the vein of CG animation, with a distinct appeal to varied age bands, and with their primary focus being children. However, at this point, I distinctly regret this choice. This movie was an utter abomination. Mass-produced, soulless CGI trash with little respect for children as viewers. It smacks of boardroom meetings, of what would be cheap and easy to churn out of perceived ideas of what the core essence of a children's animating should be. The characters range from cardboard in the dolphin protagonist to extremely annoying in the form of the comedy relief, and I use that term loosely. The jokes were flat, often crass. Of course, children like more rude humor, but even a child would be disgusted by this lack of tact. The character designs left an immeasurable amount to be desired, often lapsing to utter nightmare fuel in the case of the sunfish character, a design not even intended to be intimidating to children. The plot was limp and directionless, and there were several points where the film seemed to be winding down to a natural end only to prolong its death throes by zooming off on another lifeless plot tangent. In the end, the only thing that's left to be said about this movie is that a domain like children's movies, this sort of film is a distinct step backwards from the current trend of catering richly to children and adults and going a little further with what they are capable of handling in their viewing. Harking back to older Disney where children were not quite reduced to fart jokes and cheap, effortless animation. There is so much more out there to watch. Don't waste your time on this money spinner. Listen, gang, straight up, this is my review of Persona 5. Good evening, my liege. Hi, Mochi. We're talking about funny movies. You guys saw the movie? Really horrible movie. Oh my god. The worst Christian film I've ever seen. To some of my absolutely favorite this movie, I created an IMDb account just to write a view on this movie. To begin, the only reason I watched it is because it was doped on Tylenol with the flu and needed a movie to pass the time. Cannot say enough times how much I dislike the dialogue, plot, classic characters, novel. It's a Christian movie. It's a Christian movie. Master price, baby. Here we go. Here we go. Hold on. En route song. This is a good movie. It had a good part, like when the good thing happened. You know that good part? That part, very good. When that part happens, best part is good. Very good. Could recommend to some. The good part is good. And that movie is very good. Yeah, so Dolphin, Story of a Dreamer, the Persona 5 DLC where Robbie Damon is a director and a voice actor for a sea mammal. 4 out of 10. I'd download it if it ever goes on sale on Steam. Did Jesus die for the dolphins too? The original sin applied to dolphins. Dolphins have enough sins on their own. They don't need the original sin. I don't think they need that. Anyway, I just wanted to go, like, listen, that was no Igor 2, but I needed to share it. I felt it felt important to me to share that, okay? I have a generous and giving personality. I'm really nice. And when I see something incredible like that, I need to share it with my constituents. I need to spread the love. I am a river to my people. And anyway, we're here to play some Vampyr. Getting closer in my little corner, my little box. Hello. Suffer as I suffered. I kind of want to reposition this bitch. Hold on. Can I reposition this bitch? Steal your pants. Do not! Why? Why do that? Why do that to me? Okay, if I repossess this bitch, it's going to throw off my Karusubon calibration. The dove box. Get in here! This is the fucking blood zone. Welcome to the bite zone. Ay! I don't think he wears pants. I only wear shorts. Look at them. Aren't they cute? Look at my cute little decadent legs. It's for sexy reasons, but also practical reasons. I produce so much fucking body heat. If I were to wear full-length pants, I would overheat and die. I'm like those bitches from Nier Automata. You know, that's the lore reason they dress like that, by the way. Played some Rain World today and died 3 times at the same jump. That is the Rain World experience. I'm booting up Vampyr right now. Don't worry about it. Love lore reasons for horny outfits. It's great. It's great. Oh, Steam is advertising the Lies of P DLC to me, and I want it. Lies of P is the best Souls-like game, and I'm not exaggerating. It's my favorite one. My favorite Souls game is Dark Souls 3, but my favorite Souls-like is Lies of P. Come on. Come on. Uh-huh. Got stabbed a bunch in VR chat after telling people I found it erotic. That's correct. That's exactly what VR chat is for. It's for being a slut. Which is why you'll never catch me there. I am chaste. Okay, I think we just like devoured all of Whitechapel last time. Hey, I'm gonna complain for a second. I have an ear infection right now, gang. And boy howdy is that frustrating. I'm doing my best to be a little trooper and perform through it, but glah, what a horrible disease. No excess shelters, that's pretty good, EchoNet. Hurdy, big hurdy. How's it like? Imagine, imagine there was a slug in your head that was just irritating constantly. Right, okay, we just showed up in this bad boy. I don't remember from whence I camest. Because we just beat like a mini boss? I just heard a skittering noise. Oscar Wilde might have died from an ear infection. No, he died from being too gay to function. Like in that movie. Posted a sketchy warm-up. Oh, exciting. I'll love to look at that when our next ad break forces me to not be gaming. Ah! All right, drinking my coffee. Coffee from a Keurig machine. Flavored and sweetened with butter pecan syrup. I guess I'm going this way? Where am I going, gang? When in doubt, use the where am I going button in modern video games. Okay, well that's a nice little shortcut beat for me. I got that fucking song from the Dolphin movie trailer in my head now. I didn't process any of the lyrics with the melodies in my head. Oh, okay, yeah, this is a puzzle I haven't solved yet, so this is where I gotta be. Oh god. Da 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 da. Blah da da da. Dolphin build, catchy cell. Well done, Glum. I hope my fucking stream doesn't get copyright struck for whatever that was. Understand there's making me start seeing it too. Help. Okay, so we need to get this up to like our altitude. Copy struck by shitty dolphin film. Hey, hey, it would be an honor. It would be an honor. Okay, that was hardly a puzzle. That was just feeling out a sequence. Qué romántico. Pescado homosexual. Dove, how many languages do you actually speak? One. I speak one language very, very well. Kills you, kills you, kills you, kills you. You're gonna leap, you're gonna leap, you're gonna leap. I know you're gonna leap. No? Die. Idiot. Fuck. Bro said gay fish. Bro said gay fish. That's right. I'm a motherfucking gay fish. I wish, okay. Hashtag problematic dove lore. I used to be really into South Park. I used to be really into South Park. And that means, unfortunately, I'm very good at referencing, especially the first seasons that were like, that had like some deniability and some quality to them. I should have done some blood drinking on those. Oh, we just came through here. What am I doing? Gayfish, Pixar's Luca 2022. Yeah, honestly, yeah. That's a better thing to refer to than the Kanye West episode of really old South Park. Listen, there are some influences I actually took from liking South Park. The things that I got from that are, how can I put it? There is a consistent type of thing they do in South Park that they've done for at least the series as long as I watched it, which I still love to this day as a trope, and it's the serious business trope. I love when something that is not at all important becomes like life or death to the characters in a show. It's my favorite fucking thing.
I have this thirst for blood.
Okay. We're gonna find out what Louise is bitching about in a minute, but right now we're actually about to have our first ad break, so I'll see you in a bit. Man, it sucks that that song had to end, like the ad break had to end right as that song hit the bridge. What is it? That is I Am the Rain by Assemblage 23. I am the rain falling down to cover you.
Is despicable.
Wish me away, but thank me in the end.
Believe I'm doing this.
Louise. So we gotta go up or over? I mean, let's go over first. How frequent are the ad breaks? Every 36 minutes. And they last for 3 minutes.
Disgusting asshole!
Whoa! Ooh. Give me your juice, stupid. Stupid. Before I let this lady out of a cage, I gotta read this diary I found on this dude. Just arrived in London after a grueling journey from Manchester. The city is sad and despaired. It will not be difficult to find a woman willing to escape death here. I cannot wait to start my research. Soon, I won't be a virgin anymore. Steel bloods. Okay, but you didn't say steals your blood, so I'm assuming you're actually stealing it from one of my dogs here. Maybe Echo Glum? I'm sliding Echo Glum forward to be the blood that you steal today. Well, I'm clipping a little. Get out, you filthy little menu. The cell is ready. All I must do now is to find an appropriate candidate and bring her in. She will be beautiful and gentle with a nice temper. I've already tested my persuasion ability on a few women and it worked most of the time. But I don't want my future bride to be submissive. I will only use my power to bring her here. Then I'll tell her what I intend to do and I'll let her accept. This is important. I want my lady to willingly accept becoming my wife for eternity. Ooh, this dude's crazy. I think I found the perfect match. Her name is Louise. She is a waitress at a public house and she is quite charming. I love her attitude when serving drink in that bar, tough and proud. I'm sure she will accept my offer. Once she is mine, once the vampire blood will have achieved her metamorphosis, her face shall heal properly and her scars will disappear. Then she will be the perfect beauty I'm the only one to see right now. This dude's crazy. I love him. I don't understand. Louise refuses my proposition. Why would she? I promised her I would never force her to do anything. Maybe let her starve a little. Then she'll understand I'm her only option. Hey, girly pop.
Are you all right, miss?
Who are you? What do you want from me?
My name is Jonathan Reed. I'm a doctor. What happened to you? Why are you here?
I'm Louise Teasdale. I was kidnapped a few weeks ago by a vampire. Don't laugh, please, sir. It's no joke.
I believe you, Miss Teasdale.
That monster told me my father was dead.
Wow.
That no one was waiting for me outside.
You're safe now. You don't have to worry about the vampire. You should just return home.
Thank you, sir. I hope we'll meet again soon. Because I'd really like you to teach me how to get rid of these creatures.
Yeah, if you want to know how to do the spells, girl, you're gonna have to, like, become a vampire. But if I do that to you, it won't be creepy.
Goodbye, Miss Teasdale. And be careful.
Welcome back, Econet.
Until we meet again.
Oh, man. She had a whole rivet in here. Survival horror would be like... Hey, nice! Sick Dracula reference. Riveting! I just realized that vampire we killed, bro died a virgin canonically. Specifically an incel. Like, listen, being a virgin is not a problem, but dying an incel, ooh, now that's rough. An incel vampire. Yeah. That is... if you're a vampire and you can't get pussy, then you have literal negative charisma. Oh yeah, I forgot we were trying to get to the mansion. I am the rain falling down to cover you. Wish me away. You'll thank me in the head. I want to open this gate. You hearing this? Hold on, there was some good fucking tunes going on there for a second. At that point, you should walk into the sun. Yeah, kiss a sunrise if you can't kiss a maiden. Violin going funky. There were synths in there. Like, it felt almost cyberpunk for a moment. Generally, so many people would fuck so many fucked up vampires. Being a vampire incel itself is already like just existing by those two words would want that. Yeah, exactly. Like if you say, "Hey, vampires are real," and I have a vampire friend who is a virgin, I know people who would kill for the opportunity to change that. Even if you're Nosferatu as looking. No, for real. Because like people, listen, I have friends who are a little bit into the necrophilia. And if you're like looking straight up like a Nosferatu from Vampire the Masquerade, I know people who would go nuts for that. You'd be swimming in freaks. You have to be a deep and specific kind of unlikable. Why don't the incels just fuck each other? If only things were that simple. Isn't vampire fucking by definition necrophilia? Yeah, but I think we know when something's cheating, right? Like if you were to fuck me in your dreams, it wouldn't count as necrophilia, I don't think, even if it's technically true. I've seen women go hear me out on Fallout Centaurs. Like if you lose that, your riz is negative completely. And I think I heard someone say, "Hey, Dr. Reed, what are you doing around here?" In here?
Good evening, Miss Price. How are you tonight?
Dr. Reed, I didn't know you had returned from the war. I had a new doctor, but not as kind as you.
Always glad to see a former patient in good condition. It's been a long time.
Too long indeed. And as a token of my appreciation, I'll grant you the best price if you fancy buying from my humble shop.
More coffee for me. Hey, I like this girl's fit. I wish I could zoom and enhance. I like this is a good design. Nice little coat. You got a good pattern on what's going on under there. This statement piece of like a sort of mature jewel tone green scarf with a nice graphic on it. I think it's good. Carolyn Price, you're looking spiffy. Personal questions about your daughter's health.
Does your daughter still worry you, Miss Price? I remember you were often concerned about her health when she was younger.
Have you not seen Carol since you returned? She's almost a young woman now, but she'll always remain my sweet little baby.
So you're less afraid?
Some things never change. Carol is still too clumsy for her own good. Sometimes her innocence puts her in real danger.
I don't like that her name is Carolyn and her daughter is named Carol. I'm not pleased with that.
Do you need my medical attention, Miss Price?
Oh yes, I feel so oppressed lately. And tired and feeble too. Thank you so much, Doctor. You're always so considerate.
She's trying to win the oppression Olympics.
I'm just doing my job.
I feel so oppressed lately.
I've always been grateful for your concern, you know.
I wish Doc could cure oppression.
Does your...
We need to get into this menu again.
Why would her innocence put her in danger?
She does not realize how cruel life can be. Maybe I was a bad mother to protect her too much. My poor dear Carol.
So you're just worrying for nothing?
You have every reason to be cautious, Miss Price, especially in these difficult times.
Maybe you could talk with her, Dr. Reed. It would be nice to have a man here more often. We would both feel safer.
I'm sorry to say this. I think Carolyn's a TERF. She's giving me turfy vibes. You know, like am I crazy? Are we feeling that? Oh, she's that little shrug. She's like, what, me? Who, me? No, who, me? I couldn't. I ain't no TERF. Come on. Be nice. Eating pasta salad. No, there she goes again. Hey, don't fucking laugh. Don't do it. Hey. Oh man. Eating pasta salad right now. I'm jealous and I want some. Wait, I only want some if it's good. If it's good, I want it. If I don't, if it's not good, then you should have it.
What can you tell me about yourself, Miss Price?
I'm still managing my shop. The only difference is, since the quarantine, we're open at night. You, on the contrary, seem to have changed a lot.
Have I changed that much? Says, I can't look at him. Damn, this counter has him too spaced out. I want to look at Dr. Demon Eyes.
Really? Have I changed that much? It must have been the war and the night shifts since my return.
Don't get me wrong, Dr. Reed, you're still handsome. Just maybe a little bit wiser, more serious.
Welcome in, Beru. He transitions, she doesn't like it. Honestly, that could be the read. Because like listen, the way that Carolyn Price is presenting herself, and I'm sorry, girly pop, I'm sorry that we just walked into your store and called you one of the worst types of people, but you're giving us TERF vibes because you have this sort of like upper middle class way about you, and your name is Carolyn, and you named your daughter Carol, and she's a grown woman now, but too clumsy and innocent for her own good, and maybe I sheltered her too much from the world, and it's like, my God, no, and we would feel safer if there was a man in the house. Like, I don't appreciate where you're coming from, and the fact that like this is Britain, where TERFs come from. I don't know.
Tell me more about yourself. No new fiancé? I remember you were hoping to get remarried. I'm sure you must have a few suitors.
Who would marry an old bat like myself with a grown daughter and a little business? As you know, I only fancy handsome men like yourself.
Okay, maybe she's based. Maybe she's based and only likes hotties. Maybe she's like, I'm just after a hottie right now. Don't read me like that. I'm just after a hottie right now.
Have you noticed anything in particular in this part of town recently?
Other than you coming back to cheer me up?
Girl!
Nothing at all, Dr. Reed.
You're laying it on so thick. The doctor is familiar with topical ointments. You don't need to lay it on this thick. She's practically pulling down her shirt. Yeah. She's crawling over the counter like Dr. Reed.
May I look at your goods, Miss Price?
It's always a pleasure.
If John reveals that he's a vampire, she's just gonna fucking disintegrate. She's gonna go, ah! I appreciate that she's shooting her shot, but Shauza. Nothing I'm truly intrigued by. No, I need to ask you about the quest thing.
You know.
Do you know Aloysius Dawson?
Everybody knows him. He's only been to my shop once, though, looking for rare books and other intriguing antiques.
Did he buy something from you?
No, he left quickly. He almost laughed at my goods. Mr. Dawson may be a rich man, but you can't buy good manners.
But isn't Aloysius Dawson known for his philanthropy?
That was before his brother Robert died in an aeroplane crash.
An aeroplane? How cute.
A heartless tycoon.
That's good lore. Thanks, doll.
Goodbye for...
Let's find out what Carolyn's deal is, now that we've met her. I need a lot more hints on her. She just straight... Okay, so the game acknowledges in text right here that she's like, yeah, hell yeah, Jonathan Reed. And to be clear...
Dr. Reed, I am glad to see you again.
To be clear, look at him. He's got the hottie profile. One of several.
I hope you can stay a little longer this time.
He simply has an eye infection. He's a doctor, it's fine. Actually, if your eyes don't look like this, you have a disease. He has healthy eyes. His fucking nose, my god, exactly. Same thing here. Not my type, but look at his nose. Ugh, so good. What were your eyes before becoming a vampire? My eyes always looked like this. They're a charm point. Becoming a vampire doesn't change your eye color, unless it's, you know, gives you healthier eyes like this. The only thing that changes your eye color is Alexandra's Genesis. Alexandria's Genesis. Always a cute boy with red eyes. That's right. I was always the cutest little guy with red eyes. I haven't thought of that in so long. Hey, you know what I was reminded of recently that like made me feel like time is an illusion? Hey, it's Fred! You know Fred? You know hit internet comedy guy Fred with the backwards R? Stop. From the hit Annoying Orange era of comedy. So, you know, I've been getting that clip of Fred going, OMG, it's Weezer for months. All I ever saw of Fred was that iCarly episode. Yeah, what's weird is, like, I saw one Fred video, and I thought, huh, that's a single funny one-off video made by a guy. And then, like, later I saw that iCarly episode, and I'm like, was the video that popular? I didn't realize he had, like, a brand. I was given internet access in 2016, so I don't know. You've been spared a lot of peculiar comedic movements. A lot of peculiar cultural beats. He has his own show, though. Yeah, that's right. How fucked up is that? Hey, it's Fred! I can't do it. I can't do it. Because he can't do it either. They had to like, it was a filter in post or something. Then a movie with John Cena and his dad. Crazy. Make sure I have at least 2 of everything. I wouldn't mind John Cena as my dad. You know, yeah. He seems like a good guy. And much like a real dad, you can't see him. He pulled a real dad moment and said, "You can't see me." and then disappeared. What's with all this? Was there a ritual in here? Reminds me of that one ad of the kid getting thrown and beaten to a pulp by a twisted sister, I think. I don't remember this. I don't know what you're talking about. This guy has shadow resistance. Yeah. Fuck, 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 fuck. No, 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 no. Got him, got him. I wasn't spared Crazy Frog though. Every kid used to play that shit in school. Crazy Frog, absolutely, and then its spiritual successor, Ba-ba-ba Gummy Bear. Ba-ba-ba Gummy Bear. Which was worse by virtue of being French. There is a spiritual epidemic amongst humanity, and it was the gummy bear. Used to play those over the intercom at my high school between classes. What the fuck? The gummy bear song is my rage button. They used to play it in my French class. I don't know why. I don't know why she decided to put that shit up on the fucking big screen, but it was French class and she's like, gummy bear time. Hold on. I didn't know I could straight up just target a person.
Good evening, sir. May I ask you what you're doing here at this late hour?
I'm conducting an investigation about the epidemic in this part of town.
And who are you, sir?
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed from the Pembroke Hospital. May I ask who you are and why all the questions?
I'm Detective Inspector Charles Albright from Scotland Yard. And I don't find your answers convincing. What is a Pembroke doctor doing in the West End at this time of night?
A fucking ye old timey detective? Charles Jerome Albright. I remember every kid also about FNAF and sometimes watching Amnesia gameplay in secluded corners. Back when Amnesia and PewDiePie were cultural juggernauts. Wow.
I work for the Ascalon Club. Here is my permit to go freely about the city.
The Ascalon Club? You should have said so, sir. I must warn you, these streets are dangerous, and you'd better be careful.
Why are you investigating at night?
Criminals rarely act in daylight, you know. But since you are also a night worker, have you noticed anything strange which requires police attention?
I forget who Jeffrey McCollum is. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, is that the guy in the docks? Come on. Who's Jeff McCollum? Obviously none of these. Everyone in Whitechapel's dead, but maybe... Unknown, unknown, unknown. Charlotte Ashbury. Who was this? I don't know. Gang, who was Jeffrey McCollum? Who was this? There are so many characters, so many named characters. Pretty guy. Let's just go for it.
I'd like to report a name, Inspector. Jeffrey McCullum. I'm afraid he's some sort of vigilante, trying to recruit an army of angry citizens.
Then I'll write the name down and transmit this intelligence to the appropriate office. Thank you, sir.
Interesting.
What can you tell me about this district?
I'm the one asking questions.
Okay.
Especially when there's a killer on it.
What killer?
What killer?
I'm not going to discuss that with the civilians, sir.
Haven't I told you about the investigation I'm conducting? Perhaps I could help you.
All right, without giving you too much information, I'll tell you this.
Go in the bed. Nightgloom.
I'm convinced there is a homicidal maniac on the loose, using the epidemic to disguise his kills.
Wow.
And what about the epidemic?
We both know the situation is critical, don't we, Doctor? Colleagues of mine die almost every day.
What are you really doing here?
I told you. I'm a detective inspector from Scotland Yard, investigating suspicious cases.
Do you work alone?
Yes. The situation is difficult for the police.
I imagine.
Many of us are sick, and since the summer strike, most men apply a work to rule on their patrols.
What about the situation in the East End? Why are there no police there to protect the civilians?
I know, it's a shame, but we just don't have enough men to cover the entire city.
That's bullshit, and we all know it. Are we talking to a pig? We're talking to an investigator, which I think is interesting, because an old-timey investigator is not archetypally a cop to me. You know what I mean?
What are you investigating, exactly?
I have a missing woman, possibly abducted a few nights ago. Louise Teasdale. It seems you already found my other missing person, Mr. Tadao Kimura.
Tell me about Louise Teasdale.
She's a waitress.
Do you have any idea?
No.
Okay, so that's bad. That's because we already released Louise, but we haven't slept a night to progress her like time. The game still considers her missing.
Tell me all you know about that homicidal maniac you're looking for.
I'm not even sure there is only one. The wounds are always the same, but the modus operandi varies. Sometimes violent and brutal. Sometimes precise and swift.
How could different killers inflict the same wounds?
That's my main problem. If my theory is correct, maybe we're facing a group of individuals sharing the same violent tendencies. Perhaps a sadist cult.
We do love a cult. At least in fiction, they're always fighting with the standard cops. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff. He does introduce himself as part of Scotland Yard, so we should assume more cop than not, which means he'll fall on the bastard side of things.
Do you know anything in particular about a man called Aloysius Dawson?
Who doesn't know the man? I think he intervened personally to put an end to the police strike of last August.
What else can you tell me about him?
Aloysius Dawson is exactly the kind of powerful and influential man who could commit murder and get away with it, with just one phone call.
Do you need medical attention?
I'm afraid I may have caught something. I don't feel too well.
You'll quickly feel better after taking this.
Thank you, Dr. Reed.
What are you...
I haven't...
Tell me about...
She's a...
Do you have...
No.
Okay, and that's not going to progress until we've progressed Louise's time scale. Have we discovered? There's still so many more people to find in this zone. Are these them? Hello? This is like a repeat of the same dude. Are these twins?
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. Do you need my help?
Yes, please. Would you be kind?
Agamemnon.
The time is.
That's all you need to know.
Well, is it not important to know? As important as where you are? Or who you are?
I suppose you're right. And who are you then, sir?
I am Agamemnon Baker. Like my brother,
Yeah,
I
twins.
need to leave this city immediately. And my brother and I rarely agree on anything.
Do you need my medical attention, sir?
I would appreciate...
They're here to replace the Blowjob Brothers. Yep.
Otherwise, I'm fine. Thank you.
Tell me about your brother.
What can you tell me about your...
Do you kiss? Do you kiss?
Older than me, I think. But the important thing is that I really hope I'll die before him. Grief would just kill me, you know?
Is that all?
Pericles is very attached to this city, and without my...
Wow.
he would never live.
Agamemnon and Pericles. These two are having gay sex off screen constantly.
You see?
What can you tell me about this part of town?
It's the only place I've considered myself happy. Or at least that's what I believe. Unfortunately, it's time to leave.
Why is that?
Because I'm not feeling happy.
Congrats on Rumble Teaser's transition. Oh, I missed the question. I missed the question. So what, I'm sorry? What kind of question?
What kind of question is that? What am I supposed to answer, exactly?
The truth. And I believe you just did it, actually.
Well, whatever it was the correct course of action. I got rumple teased and didn't notice the question. Anyway, we have an ad break in like 20 seconds, so we'll come back to figure out the rest of what the Blowjob Brothers are up to. And welcome back in. Okay, we were learning more about the Blowjob Brothers. What are you doing here?
May I ask what you're doing outside at this hour of night?
I don't know. You should ask my brother instead. It was his idea in the first place.
You must have your own ideas.
From what I managed to understand, I guess we're supposed to wait here. Waiting for someone to come.
May I ask why you've not gone already, if you're so exasperated by this long wait?
I believe fear is holding us back. My brother would have said it's laziness, but it's just because he's prouder than I am.
Sometimes fear is the appropriate response. Who can tell me what movie that's from? What movie I just quoted?
Who are you waiting for exactly?
The more I think about it, the more I believe it's not exactly a person we are waiting for.
But what else could it be then?
I don't know. A feeling? An event? An impulse? How can I tell? Something that would allow us to leave this trap.
I'm afraid I'm not following you. What kind of trap are you talking about?
Have you ever felt like
Dolphin Story of a Dreamer? No, honey. No.
that you are not in your place? That sort of trap.
Oh my god, Agamemnon is trans.
Trap? And you think leaving London will free you?
At least it will give us the chance to be free. That's more than our present situation. Hope, Doctor. Hope is what truly drives mankind.
You know what? I like where you're coming from, dude.
Do you need my medical attention, sir?
I would appreciate some sun.
Okay, we already asked him. Do you know Aloysius Dawson?
Can you tell me about Aloysius Dawson?
You should ask that question to my brother instead. Personally, I've not seen Aloysius for many years.
So you're kind of throwing things in that direction.
Who are you waiting for exactly?
The more I think about it, the more I believe it's not exactly a person we are waiting for.
Oh?
I don't know. A feeling? An event? An impulse? How can I tell? Something that would allow...
Fascinating.
Goodbye.
These two are gonna have something interesting going on for sure.
But they will not be forgotten.
You.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I be of assistance?
Dr. Reed? Dr. Reed?
Is there anything wrong?
No, it's just... Your name sounds familiar.
Ah.
Before?
I think I would remember. So I suppose the answer is no.
That's odd. I'm certain I've already heard of you. My name is Pericles Baker. Does that mean anything to you?
I'm afraid not, sir. But it's a pleasure to meet you anyway.
The pleasure is mine, I guess. I only wish I could remember when it was that we met.
Okay, so he's touched in the brain.
Do you need my medical attention, sir?
No. I just need something that's not this.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Baker. What are you doing out here in the middle of the night?
We are waiting for someone.
And why are you waiting for this person?
Because we need to leave this city as soon as possible.
Why do you want to leave the city?
I'm not really sure.
Can you tell me anything about this district?
As you like asking questions so much, would you allow me to ask you one first?
What?
Be my guest.
Do you like this city?
No.
No, I don't. I don't recognize it anymore.
It's London.
Or perhaps I just don't like it anymore, now that I've seen its true face.
I don't recognize it either. Or at least what it's become. Hate, violence, social disparity. And I am not talking about the criminality these days.
And what do you do, sir? For a living, that is.
I stopped working when I decided to leave. When I realized what I wanted. Wanted something this city can't provide.
I like it. These boys are just like, we gotta go, and I love it.
But what were you doing before you took this decision?
Does it really matter anymore? Considering the past seems so pointless to me. I have lived in this city all my life. And now I think it's over.
Tell me more about why you want to leave London, then.
This is how I feel about the USA.
Here anymore. I had to convince my brother to leave London because I know we need to find another life out of the city.
I would love to escape this doomed city with my, brother. Yeah, no, that's the read.
Pericles, tell me why your brother disagrees with your presence here.
Agamemnon is naive sometimes. Although don't consider him a fool, sir. He is often more lucid than me.
At least you both have the same difficulty explaining what you're doing, and for what reason.
But is that not a common problem for all mortals?
Okay, so he knows some shit, most certainly.
What can you tell me about your brother?
If you are searching for a pleasant chat, you should speak with him instead of wasting your time with me. He's always been the more gentle of us.
That's it? That's all you can tell me about him?
For the time being, true kindness
Hey,
is
still.
a valuable quality, my good sir.
Ooh, sneeze.
Who are you waiting for? I'm sure he has a name.
Bless you. Good boy.
That question, since I don't know that person.
And why is that?
This person is mostly my brother's acquaintance. I don't even know his real name. Only that this man could help us leave this city once and for all.
But why would you need this person's help to leave London anyway?
Well, I thought we should have left this cursed place already, but my brother convinced me to stay a while longer, and here we are.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell me about Aloysius Dawson?
I've heard this is a man who has searched for his place in the world for a long time. I hope he found it.
That felt kind of raw. That felt kind of loaded.
Hello again.
Do I have anything new on you? No?
Goodbye.
Then I guess it's time to wait until you both do something. Come on, Blowjob Brothers. I'm not even here. I'm not even here.
There is something strange and incoherent about everything. So much violence around us, but still, I don't feel afraid.
Whatever you do privately, start doing it now. Aha. Where are you guys going? What are the twin brothers gonna do when they go to a private secondary location that I can watch on twitch.tv without getting demonetized? You're gonna play Tummy Sticks, that's right! Oh, they're going in this little gated area to talk to someone else. Whoa, there's someone way down there. Someone way down there. Who's all the way down there?
We should be far from town already. All right, but where would we go? Anywhere. Anywhere that isn't here. And what is that, by the way? A safer place? A less strange place? And where would that be? Life is strange, and we are alive. For now, yes, but for how long? If we decided to flee, we should be far from town already. All right, but where would we go?
Hold on. Life is strange, obvious reference is obvious, for sure. But more than that, what's interesting is these two just kind of swapped.
Mr. Baker.
Why do I always have feelings of deja vu when I talk to you?
Tell me more about your strange feelings towards the city.
I would be happy to describe them, but it's too hard to explain with mere words what I'm feeling. It's unclear, too confused.
Go on, please.
Where should I start? The world is chaos. Men go mad, and nature itself runs roughshod over us all.
This is not the first time mankind has faced a deadly epidemic or a war.
Men kill each other, while nature decides to kill them all. I don't know what scares me the most. Do you?
This is the same studio that made Life is Strange. Don't nod. Well, I'm happy they went on to make a good video game, if that's the case. I'm happy that they got that bad video game out of their system and went on to make a good video game. What's scarier? They also made Remember Me. I don't know what that one is. The Wrath of Nature.
The madness of men worries me, of course, but I understand it. The wrath of nature is far more terrifying, however, since we don't understand that.
Are things less frightening once we understand them? That would seem logical, but comprehension can also bring despair.
How long have you been waiting for this man?
Sometimes I feel as though I've been waiting for him for ages.
Gay.
Perhaps it is my role in life to wait for him.
Gay.
Not a pleasant thought.
It could be dangerous for you, waiting here all night.
That's quite true. But what other choice do we have? We are waiting here until we finally go.
What if they're waiting for John?
Mr. Baker, I have met many strange people during my life, but you are definitely one of the strangest.
Really? I don't feel particularly odd or weird. All I want to do is leave. What's wrong with that?
Why are you still waiting for this person?
What would be the point of going before meeting the man, as he's going to help us leave?
Pericles, what are you going to do now?
I don't know. Perhaps it's time to leave. Perhaps we should stay a little longer. How can I tell?
And where exactly are you thinking of going?
In a place where I will finally have that feeling, to be where I belong. The world has to be meaningless chaos to make such a heaven plausible.
Wow. I like this dude.
Goodbye.
Well, let's talk to your blowjob brother. Oh, he's not even on the romance bench right now? Oh, that was him. I thought that was...
Hello again.
What are you really afraid of, Agamemnon?
The problem is, it's precisely what I don't know that frightens me. So I suppose I can't really answer your question.
Tell me.
Nice gulp ASMR for you.
Have you been waiting here?
I can't say for sure, since I have no watch. But the night is still young, and I am not tired.
Is that the most honest answer you can give me?
Yes, I think so. Why does it irritate you, sir? Is comprehension really that important to you?
These two are being, like, courted by a dread power or some shit.
I'm a scientist. I try my best to understand things. I know the world has to obey unbreakable rules.
You know, or you want the world to obey such rules?
I know one thing. I do not understand who you are.
And it's better that way. What kind of life would we live if we could summarize a person in a few words or a few lines?
If you finally manage to leave London, where do you intend to go?
A happy place, that's for sure. A place where I can smile because I know the next day will be better than the previous one.
Such a place doesn't exist. There are never any guarantees that tomorrow will be a better day.
That would mean I have no hope left. And I just can't accept such a conclusion.
Whatever's going on with these boys, I'm mesmerized. I need them. I'm gonna let them hang. I could slurp them right now. I'm gonna let them hang. Oh, hey. What's all this then? Frimpety crumpety wumpets, even. I've been in here, right? Okay. I'm just so curious what that blood is about. Maybe it's just meant to, like, guide us to a hideout. So certainly down here is the way we talk to that guy. That was a pressure plate. These are interesting. Is there a sort of means of puzzling I can do? Or do I need to find information elsewhere? Maybe you know. Do you know?
Cards never lie, but they are never easy to read.
Oh. A medium. The crime of lost knowledge. Vampires are dangerous, deadly, vicious sometimes. This is a fact and I won't deny it, and that's precisely why we must understand what they are, sometimes who they are, in order to achieve a better mutual understanding. Do you remember the interview with Titus Flavius Josephus, who conducted by one of us in 1548 when he finally encountered the creature in Spain? Do you remember how each of the very carefully chosen words expressed by this vampire warmed our heart each time we read them? For they were all extraordinary windows into a past of which we only have glimpses. Well, Titus Flavius Josephus is no more, since the Vatican's hunters destroyed him a few weeks ago, and with him vanished his unearthed treasures of knowledge about the pillars of our civilization. This is a crime probably as heartbreaking as the killing of an innocent life by a vampire. This is exactly why the path of the Guard Prewin is as criminal as it is barren, for each time they successfully conduct one of their methodical hunts on the old vampires of England, instead of carefully and respectfully approaching them, they destroy a part of our common roots with the immortals. They wipe an opportunity. The concept of great hunt is a crime, for it blindly kills words and thoughts. Okay, that's an interesting sort of idea. These are immortals. We should use them to understand human history.
Jonathan Reed. At last we meet.
Oh.
The cards warned me you would visit tonight.
I beg your pardon, sir. Do I know you?
Of course you do. Our mutual friend, Dr. Swansea, can't speak highly enough of you. My name is Usher. Usher Talltree.
Oh.
You are the leader of the Brotherhood, are you not?
Primate of the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole, to be precise. I'm really glad we met tonight.
It's Usher.
I love it.
Of music fame.
Tell me a truth.
Usher.
I told you to expect me.
Yes.
So we back in the mine.
They've told me of your unquenchable thirst for blood. Be wary, Ekon. I've heard such a rich diet can be bad for the heart.
He knows.
Do you require medical attention?
I'm fine, thank you, Jonathan.
How do you measure the amount of blood on my hands?
I told you. The cards always tell the truth. Well, most of the time.
Is it possible to tell me my future?
A vampire's fate is much more delicate to read, Doctor. But I can try.
Yeah.
All right. Let me hear it.
You'll cast your heart into the fire without hesitation, Jonathan. For pain is only for the mortals.
Wow.
I would rather not know. May I ask you about the Brotherhood?
Of course. But I must warn you that there are some subjects we consider taboo, despite of our fondness and acceptance of your kind.
I know there is no love lost between the Guard of Prewin and the Brotherhood. What caused this rift?
It was 1801. The Brotherhood was stronger then, a strength that made them hungry for ever greater power. An argument divided them, and the wound never healed.
What was the nature of the disagreement?
The problem was that both sides considered themselves the legitimate heirs of the original Brotherhood. We divide up the books, the relics, not always fairly or with consideration.
Interesting.
Who founded the Brotherhood?
That's precisely the kind of question I cannot answer. It is delicate, and may reveal some of our secret traditions.
So you're not just a club of academics and scholars?
Once upon a time, very long ago, the Brotherhood did more than simply study the vampires. They took actions to eliminate the more ferocious and corrupted.
How do...
I told
Is it...
vampire...
Okay, we already did this.
Tell me about yourself. What do you do here, besides turning cards in the middle of the night?
I'm for most a charlatan. For a few, I'm a vampire. And for you, I'm the prime...
Oh my gosh, Damage Die, thank you for the raid, hun. Right now we're playing Vampyr. Hi everyone, I'm Dove Bleeding Heart. I am the small, cute little guy and #1 squeeze of Astaroth. And right now this guy is reading us for filth with his tarot deck, being like, you've been killing people, John. And it's fun. Right now we're just exploring a dialogue tree. Okay, let's see here.
Some believe you to be a vampire. Who?
The Guard of Priwen, who else? For a time, they sent spies to observe my activities, and even broke into my home to gather proof.
Did they steal anything?
A personal notebook. They quickly took
I've needed to stretch so much today.
All they had to do is to look at me. I'm aging. What better and definite proof that I'm not an immortal?
Do you want your notebook back?
If you ever find it, I'd be glad to have it back, of course.
What's the shout out command, of course?
One thing. Do not read it, Jonathan. Some secrets are not meant to be revealed, even to immortals.
You're just asking like how to do a shout out, because I don't know if any of you can. In my channel. But that's how it's done. Everyone, Damage Die is as I understand it, a TTRPG and gaming focused channel with a bunch of pals in there, including some friends of mine. They're a good time. Go check them out.
For how long have you been a primate?
It was 15 years last year.
What do you make of Dr. Swansea?
Edgar is a brilliant and dedicated man. A man of his time, sometimes a little muddled, but always looking for new paths and new concepts.
Okay. Tell me about the neighborhood.
What can you tell me?
How is their latest album?
I really don't know.
Oh, I am.
And when I do, it's...
That's not the latest album at all. That's old by now.
So you see nothing in the stars for me. You're a poor fortune teller then.
Oh, I can tell you many things, but they will only concern you, not the city. For example, I know that you offered your sister the final rest she asked for.
Wow.
Do the cards speak of my Mary?
No. It's the burning aura of guilt that precedes you everywhere you go.
Read my fortune, then.
You have been chosen, Jonathan. I see on you the mark of a strong being, so powerful it needn't even reveal its strength.
Can you read the cards for me?
Are you sure you want to know what they will reveal?
Yes, I am.
It will cost you 150 shillings.
Since I don't fucking spend at all, here you go.
Here is the money.
The hermit. An old man. A broken soul who has seen too much. The burden of guilt. This man will give up once the disease is defeated.
Cool.
How did you learn about Mary? And spare me the hocus-pocus parlor tricks. The truth, now!
Swansea told me.
Yep, obviously.
Don't look at me like that. His task is to observe and gather information about vampires. He had to tell me about Mary.
Mary did not deserve her fate. She had already suffered enough during her life. And yet the pain and suffering went on.
Suffering is part of the immortal condition. Some prefer to lose their minds rather than face the simple truth. Pain will never stop.
Can I just say I love Jonathan's voice? Oh yeah, they chose a really good VA. And this game is extremely dialogue heavy, very dialogue forward. So like it is a demanding role, and this cat is executing so well.
Is there anything you could tell me about Aloysius Dawson?
Aloysius Dawson. Yes, of course. We met on several occasions. With time, he got deeper and deeper into the occult.
He's not the only one. It's been quite the fashion for several decades. The Golden Dawn, for instance, is just one example.
True. Aloysius was a member of the Golden Dawn until 1900. Then his thirst for dark knowledge grew.
Naturally.
Talking forbidden texts, readings which blackened his heart.
Golden Dawn mentioned. That's me. We've already done a read.
Goodbye, sir.
I rarely wander, yet it amuses me to converse with your kind. The Fool and the Empress.
Interesting.
Again, what are the cards trying to tell us?
I want to know about this pressure plate issue. More like Golden Dong. More like Magnum Dong. Is this a sequence thing, or do we need to hit them all at once? Because it sounds like... Okay, trying to do hard whippets doesn't work. I'm so curious. I'm so curious. I could brute force this if it is a sequence, but I don't even know if it is. Using my fancy boy vision reveals me nothing. So I'm assuming there has to be like a hint somewhere. Normally such hints would exist in the same architectural sort of position.
Again, what are the cards trying to tell us?
Maybe if I get more readings.
Can you read the...
Put the money on the table.
Here.
Redemption. A strong man eager to help and support the weak. A criminal who redeemed himself. A better life. Rebuilt from scratch.
Oh! So you can drop shillings here to get more hints on people. That's cool.
Can you read...
Put the money on...
Here.
The Joker. A woman bent to...
The Joker, baby.
Base herself. A cruel gaze in the dark. A monster laughing at you.
Look at that. That's so good.
Goodbye, sir.
I rarely wander. Cards never lie, but they...
I don't spend my money, and I'm happy they finally gave me like a reward for that. I have so fucking much. Holy shit. The Joker, baby. Okay. Fancy Boy Vision says it's just that thing Dove does when he just stares at chat. Tell me how the pressure plates go. Okay. I'm pretty sure I can find lore on that elsewhere. Oh, that smooth transition into the more energized version of the song. This game is so fucking slick. Ah! Well, chat, I have run out of coffee, but I have a Diet Coke right here. Lovely. Dove, why have you had an ear infection for a month plus? Maybe it's because you only drink Diet Coke. Let's go, the mic picked it up. Do you like my throat noises? Okay. We've been asking around. Where can I find... Well, in the meantime, let's do some side quests. Because who knows? You know? Okay. Faster to go this way. That did give me an idea that I have to write down for whenever I decide to draw a dove time to start a notepad. Have a little notebook to keep just about me? Just about how you feel about me? Just your little dove thoughts? Thoughts about Dove Bleeding Heart? How wonderful. What an excellent use of your time. Okay, take the little left and then... Oh, an ad break is starting. See you guys in a minute. And welcome back in. We're doing a little quest. A funny little quest. Can you guys believe that one of you just fucked off to therapy? This should be like a replacement for therapy. We've been in here before. I don't remember why. Like, you don't need a therapist when you have me and my performances. That's gonna cause me a problem if I don't fucking get him. Idiot. Right? Yeah. You can make us worse. I do. And you all say thank you, sir. Not what I meant to do.
I have this thirst for blood.
I have this thirst for blood. It actually might be smarter if I... Okay, well, while I'm up here, I should check the crook of this and see. Whoa! 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 No, there's not like anything I can go in. Yeah. Try walking in my shoes. Oh, no, hold on. Hold on. Come on, Dove. You can just... Here we go. You stumble in my footsteps. But down, so it says. Oh my god! So I'm almost getting the impression that I should go into the opera house. Hello. Wow. I like closing the distance for melee now. It's very, very fun. The opera house where the operators live. It's very good. Very good. Well done.
I will return at a more convenient time. It's locked.
Okay, we can't go back in here. So maybe we do want to go back in here. This is the zone, but it wants us to go down in altitude. We need to go deeper, as it were. Let's just feel around, see if I can't find a way to descend in this sort of block.
I cannot enter.
No, can't go to the theater. I'm filled with perverted thoughts. I must open art software. I encourage it. Be perverse. Be filthy. Get rowdy. You rambunctious rapscallion. Scallions. Maybe in here? Who knows? Maybe in here? No? Maybe around here? No? No? Was there a way to get to the sewers that I don't remember? Maybe. Ah, well, I'm over it. Let's find out something else to do. Let's open Father's safe. Fastest way there. Well, it would be in West End, so yeah, let's just follow this road. You stumble in my footsteps. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Dingle, ding, dwirl. Wow, 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 wow. Little scope around. Oh, Father's safe is all the way. Why is it down? Oh yeah, because we were going to the docks and. Ooh, okay, yeah. It would be cool if I could get on the railway and just haul ass all the way down. Yeah, I'm gonna do that when I'm next in the area. Fuck it. Yeah. So let's find out where Dawson's mansion is. It would be in here, because this is the area we fought to get to. I assume that's the mansion. So let's swerve. Get out of fancy boy mode. Adelina Corday, the singer in the red dress. Ah! Can you tell I'm Liza P. pilled? Like, game design-wise, this feels like it's the place I'm meant to be getting into. Fancy boy mode, setting my meter to get my Gucci belt. Your built-up meter from doing all of your combos and attacks. Okay, so this is some sort of... Yeah. That's not where we're meant to be going. Hi, Ansu! Doll, hello! Everyone, this is Ansu Blue. He's an absolute darling. Dear, dear friend of mine. Welcome to my den of freaks. I'm going to instruct everyone to not get any dirt on Ansu. Ansu comes from polite society, relatively speaking. We're all filth here, but be polite. Hold on, is it this? Is this the mansion? Is it behind me? Hold on, how do I gotta go through the... Oh, hold on. Freak of a different flavor, that's right. Do we gotta go through the hideout and then... Yeah, here we go. This is where the game was funneling me. And that's the way out is through S. Yeah, got it. This kicks ass. I just got hard flashbacks to the Malkavian Manor from Bloodlines. I know this is not going to be anything like that, but this still kicks ass. Gotta look around for secrets. Gotta look around. What are your thoughts on Luigi's Mansion Original? That game fucking rules. Absolutely love it. I do have qualms with Nintendo's design with encounters in general regarding, like, I don't like bosses that are, I have 3 attacks and the third one reveals my weak point unless it hits you, in which case I'll just decide not to reveal my weak point. I find that it's good for a child audience, sure, but I'm not... You're asking me as Dove Bleeding Heart, not as a child. So as Dove Bleeding Heart, I'm going to say I find parts of Luigi's Mansion frustrating to play in terms that they are disrespectful of my time. But broadly speaking, it's just a fun little romp. I like that the first boss is a dead baby. I think Nintendo really popped off with the dead baby moment. It was a real dead baby moment. Huh? Yeah, Ansu, if you, in case for anyone who's not familiar, Luigi's Mansion has the structure of you're playing as Luigi and you have like a vacuum cleaner that works like a Ghostbusters proton stream device, and you're like capturing ghosts, and each chapter of Luigi's Mansion has a ghost in it that like is the boss of the chapter. The first chapter boss is Chauncey, who is a literal baby, and the way you get a ghost of a baby is for a baby to die. To be very clear, that's how that works. Now, I do think that there might be a throwaway or justifying line in the game somewhere that I don't remember. That's like these ghosts are synthetic or like they're made like by the booze. That's not what I remember. What I remember is giant ghost baby, and ghosts famously come from when living things stop being alive. Yeah, they were created from portraits. So like there's lore, but like, you know, it's a dead baby moment.
Dawson's mansion. Here I am at last. But the question remains, am I ready to make a dying man my progeny?
Well, the booze would make a baby ghost. Yeah, for real. What if a mommy ghost and a daddy ghost do a special hug? Oh no. Oh, you're getting your ectoplasm everywhere. Go get the ghost sheets to mop it all up. Gang, I'm ghost pregnant. It's like regular pregnant, but with a ghost. This feels like the kind of level of like world building and lore crafting that happened in like Fairly Odd Parents, where like you gotta wish for a fairy to be pregnant to get a baby fairy, and then you gotta wish for the baby fairy to already be born because there is no proper birthing process. And likewise, I think if you a living person get ghost pregnant, you need to wait for the ghost to mature enough that it can go through walls, and then it just exits your body by phasing through you. I think that's what it means to be ghost pregnant. We're really cooking now. That's where ghosts come from. Wait, can the fairies just be stuck pregnant? Probably. I imagine that if you don't wish the baby out of Cosmo, then the baby will eventually die and then become necrotic in Cosmo, and he'll like die of like an internal necrosis. Timmy, please. Timmy, wish it out. Timmy, please.
Now, Cosmo, I want you to die. I want you to suffer. And then after this, you're gonna go to hell no matter what.
And that's where baby Chauncey came from. Maybe it's like a hen getting nutrients back from their own fertilizer. Oh yeah, would it just sort of like digest out? That could be it. That's a more agreeable way for that to happen, I'm sure. But Timmy, you have to wish the baby out.
No, Wanda. I'm the only baby now. Wanda, I wish Cosmo was pregnant with me.
Timmy, what the fuck?
It's locked.
I can't do this. I can't do this scene anymore. That scene lasted for 4 seconds and it was too much for me. I can't fucking do it.
It's locked, all right.
Normally I can draw a bit out for at least a minute. That one did not have me. I couldn't cling to that one. It was a lot. It was so much instantly. The bit was kind of like front loaded, if you will. You may think that the game just didn't render this in high resolution, but actually this is an extremely high resolution pointillism painting. It's actually quite nice. Oh, it's so nice we got it twice. It's a good painting, dog. I don't know what to tell you. There's 2 of them.
Finally, you're here, Dr. Reed. What took you so long?
I had to pass several of your barricades and outposts to access your mansion, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Pestilence surround us, and time is against me.
I see you've gathered some of the most expensive, albeit experimental, blood transfusion equipment available. All this could be so useful in a hospital.
Yes. Since Lord Redgrave sent me a doctor to perform my conversion, I thought you might find some of these devices useful.
Most thoughtful. But tonight I'm not here as a physician.
But I feel reassured that a specialist such as yourself would help me to escape the Reaper.
Very well. But before I proceed, I have a few questions.
Hey chat, we're gonna kill this guy. He literally, reminder, he literally wants to build a wall to keep the pores out of his neighborhood. We're not gonna fucking save him.
To be sure that you know exactly what is going to happen to you, sir.
I can assure you I'm as informed as any man can be. I have planned for this moment, Dr. Reed. Planned very carefully.
We can take a few minutes.
Sir, I'm going to end your life. Do you not wish to discuss the procedure for even a minute?
I don't have a minute to indulge in idle chatter. I can't feel my legs, and the cold, so cold.
What do you know about the Guard of Priwen?
What I do know is that I'll crush anyone or anything that would dare to oppose me.
You're fine. So would I.
You'll need to feed on warm blood. Blood from mortals. How do you feel about that?
I'm rich, Dr. Reed. I'm powerful. I'm sure I'll be able to acquire all the blood I need without ever having to sully my own hands.
I will become your maker. Do you understand what that means?
Well, I certainly won't consider you my liege or some such drivel.
Wow.
Be assured of that.
I love when the game presents you a character that's just like, killed me! Kill me!
Let's move on then.
Please, I'm cold and tired. I feel my life waning with every moment.
But first, before you embrace immortality, what would you do with such a gift?
That's a rather impertinent question, Dr.
Really?
Reed, and I will do as I please.
Answer me all the same. What will your first action be as an immortal?
To save London, I will finance the most efficient quarantine ever seen. I will build a wall that will separate the sick boroughs from the healthy ones.
I don't need to interrogate this dude any further. He's already at max blood quality and everything. But he might... Listen, there's a locked safe upstairs. And I'm like, what if there's a code? You know? Like, maybe there's something I can use in his brain before I fucking raisinette this dude.
Who gave you the right to decide the fate of thousands of people?
My money. My money and my pending immortality gives me the needed authority, Doctor. I'm a businessman. I'm used to tough decisions.
The devs were really like, what if we made a British Trump and gave the player the catharsis of just killing him?
You really plan to build a quarantine wall across London?
Yes, it will be tall and strong, separating the wheat from the chaff.
Let me guess. You mean to isolate the rich from the poor?
This is a desperate measure for desperate times. England must prevail, Doctor, no matter the cost.
They didn't make the choice great at all. No, of course not. And you know what? I'm fine with that. Because I think when it comes to making choices in video games, especially roleplay heavy video games, every choice does not need to be gray. Sometimes you need to have these choices exist so that way the player can choose to play a bad person explicitly. This is incredible that this man feels like he can say this to someone who's giving him a literal lifeline. For real. For real. This is part of the pompousness of the wealthy too. They would look their final lifeline in the face and say, I'm richer than you, so you will do what I want. He can't comprehend that we will go for an ideological action rather than a financial one.
By doing so, you will also create two separate prisons.
Come, sir. An eminent doctor like yourself knows that such radical measures have proved efficient in the past.
They really haven't, though.
Quarantine is not a bad idea, medically speaking. But I'm convinced this epidemic will not be contained by mere walls.
As long as the right people are on the right side of the wall, that's all that matters.
God.
What if a new outbreak happens inside your walls? You'll have created a giant trap.
That won't happen. As long as we dispose of anyone that is contaminated as soon as they are spotted.
God.
But you can't guarantee infection will not spread. Just one contagious carrier would be enough to create an apocalypse.
The apocalypse is already knocking at the gate. We must be strong now.
I'm so excited to kill him. I've heard enough. I think we've heard enough. He's made his case.
I've heard enough. It's time to proceed.
At last. All right, do what you...
Sick Village vibes. Oh yeah, that was such a good episode.
I've been preparing such a long time for this.
You don't deserve immortality, Mr. Dawson.
What? What are you prattling on about?
Get him!
I don't believe I've ever met a man so bereft of empathy. You, sir, are despicable.
No!
No!
You can't. I made a deal with Lord Redgrave. I'll finance whatever he wants. Please, just ask him.
Sleep now. Rest now. Forever.
I would have lived forever. Who are you to decide my fate? I give you the authority.
Oh God, that's such heavy-handed writing, but it's so cute. First key. What's first key? He had 3 keys. Why did he have 3 keys? Oh, are there three safes? Yeah, okay, there are 3 safes to find in his house. That's fun. Who are you to decide my fate? God. Yeah, right when that line appeared earlier in the conversation about like the wealth deciding his, I love when writing is very direct about its themes. Bro has 3 safes in his damn house. Who are you to decide my fate? You know what's really funny? He was only worth 2,000 XP. Barely worth anything. And now we've made an enemy of the Ascalon Club, the British Illuminati, which is fine by me. None of them are hot, so like, I don't need them around. Speak of the devil.
Is it done, Dr. Reed? Is Aloysius Dawson reborn as expected?
Alas, Aloysius Dawson was not brought back to life after his death. The man is gone.
What? What happened?
Can I lie? Because I'm working for this dude under false pretenses. I think he just, hey, listen, he was really old and infirm. My blood is too hot and thick and sexy. He just died. He couldn't handle it.
He didn't survive the procedure. He was too weak.
This is unacceptable, nevertheless. You were given the simplest task.
Well, get rid of me then.
Ooh!
Now on, you're an outcast. Banished. You are forbidden to ever appear in front of us again. Ascalon will smite you on sight, and your heart will be...
Must have been sucking a sack of flour.
Have fun with your puppets and shadow plays, Lord Redgrave.
Yes, go, traitor, and take...
I didn't know he was hard like that. Yeah, John's crazy.
...of a woman I saw waiting for you, and be gone.
And by the sword you die. Hey, you know what'd be really funny is if I tried to initiate conversation with him again right here.
Step away, traitor.
Damn.
Return to your dubious friends and your decrepit hospital. Do not dare show yourself again, you or that monstrosity you bring to my door.
Get rid of me then. That was hot as hell. Did his voice change? It sounded more like to me like as the camera pulled back, we got a different sort of audio landscape that the game was processing. Oh! What's up, girly pop?
Meet again at the strangest of times, young Ekon. So do you serve the Earl of Bristol now?
Old Bridget. What are you doing here?
Your friend, the wise Ekon. She sent me to warn you.
How did you meet Lady Ashbury?
She came to us in the sewers in search of answers. Just as you did.
Yeah?
What kind of answers did you give her?
I knew nothing of your maker, but we talked. We talked a lot. Her words and ideas are captivating. It is no surprise that you like her. I like her too.
Oh shit! Are they sneaking a little Yuri in under the rug? Lady Ashbury and old Bridget having Yuri in the sewers together, while both vampires.
Lady Ashbury in the sewers. Now that's a sight.
Just slipping a little in under the doormat.
Your friend, and that she sought the identity of your maker. So I answered her questions.
Yeah, easy enough.
Did anyone see you? It's a long way from the dock sewers, and hunters are patrolling the streets here.
Who said I took the streets? How do you think I survived for centuries in this city without ever being seen? I know all her secrets.
Yowza. Well, what's afoot?
Lady Ashbury. You know her. Tell me what's going on.
The lady approached me but a few nights ago, wanting to meet the sewer skulls. Once she questioned Harriet Jones. She agreed to help us.
Harriet Jones is still with you then?
Uh-huh.
How is she doing?
Harriet remains angry, but is recovering slowly. The lady asked us to keep an eye on your mortal.
Hold on. Ad break is starting like right now, so I had to cut through those lines. See you in a few minutes. And welcome back in. I have questions first.
Wait, slow down. I need to ask you something.
I'm listening, but I do not have time to waste, so be quick.
Where is Lady Ashbury right now?
She said she will go home. She needed to speak with some old friends first, though. Do not worry, young Ekon. She is no fool, and just as strong as you.
Really? Because I got a lot of XP from the evil crimes I've been doing.
How did Elizabeth find you?
She presented herself humbly at our gate and asked if we knew of any ancestral vampires hiding in London. She asked about Ascalon. She asked about many things.
What do you think of her?
Her soul is good, yet tainted with a deep sadness and the scars of ancient wounds. Time does that to us immortals, for we have so much to dwell upon.
Wow. The writing in this is really strong.
Why did she come to you?
I've said this a lot.
Old Bridget, the buried memory of the city. She sought the silent truths. Truths I have kept hidden for so long.
Wow. They're lesbians. They had a lesbian moment down there. They had to have.
Why do I feel like Lord Redgrave was particularly irritated to see you? Far more so than the average Skull, if I may say.
Because I used to know him quite well.
Oh.
And he is afraid I may remember who he really is.
Ooh.
Informant. You're the one who told her about Lord Redgrave's lies regarding his lineage.
Yes, but my words were not meant to hurt or I simply told the story of the sewer skulls and of so many other forgotten children.
Well, no time to lose.
No time to lose, then. I must go there right away.
I shall return to my den. Have you a message for the lady? Should I see her before you?
Should John confess? I think John should confess. I like what he's got going on with Lady Ashbury. I think I like what these hats have cooking.
Yes. Tell her I love her.
Is this still unknown to her?
Wow.
Go now and take Ekon, for the flames are rising.
Bridget's like, duh. It's obvious. She ships it. Bridget ships it. Okay. Dawson's down, which means the district's gonna drop into Sirius. Louise, we cannot interact with. I would like to see Mr. Kimura. Also, Carolyn Price's daughter should be around. She knew. She knows. Yeah, for real. Johnny Boy is not slick when it comes to Lady Ashbury. Okay, we can't even go that way. That's not game area. Okay. Interesting. I'm looking out for Miss Price's daughter. Down? Coming up, even? Oh, you're gonna come out here? There you are. Sorry, can I please?
I am glad to see you again.
I'd like to talk to you. Please?
Good evening, Miss Price. I'm Dr. Reed. Do you remember me?
Dr. Reed? Yes, of course. You are the doctor who healed me and my mum. Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Good to see you too, Carol. Are you all right?
Oh, yes. I did not hurt myself recently. I know how to take care of myself now. I'm almost a grown-up.
Oh, she's fatigued.
Need my medical attention.
Oh, please.
How old is Carol supposed to be? It's hard to tell.
Do not
It's really hard to tell.
There is nothing to be worried about.
Don't be shy. It's my duty to take care of you.
Thank you, sir.
Because this hairstyle with the bow like that and like this sort of dress, like it really is signaling like juvenile. She looks like she belongs on the prairie.
Why are you awake at night, Carol?
I am helping my mother in her shop. It's not easy, but I'm a grown-up now.
Oh, the girl's weird.
I'm sure your mother is grateful for your help.
I do the best I can. But I'm so clumsy sometimes. I drop things. I injure myself. It's a good thing my mother has the patience of an angel.
No, this is abusive. There's some abusive shit happening here.
Why is work not easy? Is something or someone bothering you?
Oh no, most people are gentle with me. But I'm so nervous sometimes. I pay no attention and hurt myself. Good thing my mum learned first aid.
So something skeevy about this gang.
Living nearby.
I don't speak to many people, except our customers.
We were right that Carolyn's eyes were off. Yeah.
It's not easy to make friends.
You're surprised the horny turf is abusive? We don't know she's a turf. She just has a lot of red flags. You should not throw that word around lightly.
What can you tell me about the epidemic?
Some of our regular customers have left London. Some others only send their housemaids now. Everybody fears the contagion. I've even seen men with weapons.
Have you no friends at all?
No. Mr. Nithercote used to pass by and was always nice to me.
Does he not come by anymore?
No. Mum said he was weird. Always reciting poetry about a girl he'd met in Whitechapel. I wonder who this camellia may be.
We've eliminated them, so don't worry about it.
Do you enjoy working with your mother?
Oh yes, Doctor. My mother raised me alone after my father died. We've always lived together, and she has always watched over me.
Carol's character type in the code is victim. Yeah, I believe it.
Do you remember your father?
No, I was just a baby then. My mother always told me how strong and good he was.
Do you ever think about getting married now you're a woman?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. Mum always says I'm still a child who has no idea how tough life can be.
Oh, wow.
No husband would like a clumsy girl like me.
Oh, girl. This is not good. This is not good. Oh, no, not the constant supervision of a mother. Yeah, this is... Ooh. Hey, Carolyn? Carolyn? We need to have a talk about Carol.
Good evening, Miss Price.
You know you can call me Carolyn, my dear doctor.
No, we're gonna stick with Miss Price, actually. Hey, Miss Price? What's up with... What's your relationship with your daughter like right now?
Carol's gratitude is exemplary. She seems determined never to leave you.
I'm taking care of my daughter as well as I can. It's not always easy, but she's the best gift life gave me.
But she'll probably leave you someday to live her own life. Will that be difficult for you?
Why would she leave? Children sometimes stay with their parents until the end.
Uh-huh.
For they know no one else will love them.
Oh, my skin is crawling. My skin is crawling. Oh my god. This is bad that I'm taking notes. No, do it for sure. I'm thinking definitely gonna get Carolyn ripe for the drinking here. We're gonna have to do a listen in, probably.
Dr. Reed, I am glad. Good morning.
I'm gonna stand just outside of the door. Ah! Thanks, Zach, for keeping me on my toes, I guess. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna wait and see if these two are gonna have a dialogue that I can listen in on and get more hints, because I would like Carolyn to be ripe for when I juice her. Oh, something happening? No, never mind. Adjusting in your seat. Alright, stay back a little bit. There, they're both in my line of sight now. She definitely needs to die. Oh yeah, what I'm debating is whether or not I'm gonna kill Carol too. No, not a lot of XP, but we're kind of going scorched earth in this playthrough. Because again, I'm trying to play the game like how the systems are incentivizing me, and the systems are incentivizing me into emotionally manipulating people. Oh, here we go. Okay, where can I listen? Here? Here we go.
Be careful, Carol. You're wasting good food here.
Yes, Mother.
I said be careful, child.
There it is. Uh-huh. What'd I fucking tell you?
Sweetheart, Mummy has been so clumsy again.
No, that's okay. It won't bleed for long.
You're so pale. Are you feeling sick? Do you need to see a doctor?
No, I'm fine. I already saw the doctor last week.
Don't be silly. You must see a doctor. Just don't tell him how clumsy your mummy is, all right? I love you so much, my baby.
Oh.
Mother.
Oh. Red for filth. We got you now, bitch. Come back upstairs so we can issue some divine judgment. Now, this is one of those gray decisions, though, because Carol will not have the support that she needs when we eliminate her mom.
My dear doctor.
Hey, you abuse your daughter.
You are responsible for your daughter's many injuries and scars, Carolyn. You brutalize her, don't you?
How could I abuse my own flesh and blood? This is nonsense. It would be like hurting myself.
You really believe you've done nothing wrong, don't you? How long has this been going on for? I should have seen it when you were my patient.
Seen what? Child abuse? Are you mad, Dr. Reed? I dedicated my whole life to my precious Carol. She is a part of me.
Yes. Even her name is just a part of you.
Get her ass!
This is a terrible tragedy. Something of an unknown disorder. My God. Abuse that comes from overwhelming love.
I can't believe what I'm hearing. How dare you say something like that? What kind of a monster do you think I am?
Tell me, Carolyn, do you often wound or hurt your daughter by mistake?
No. I always thought it was Carol's clumsiness that caused these incidents. Maybe it's a family trait, Doctor.
You really believe it's just bad luck and being clumsy?
A narcissist. Killer, please. Oh, we're gonna. I just need to get her ripe for the juicing, and it seems she is.
Speak to me, Carolyn. Why do you behave like this? How does it make you feel to hurt Carol before cajoling her?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me feel good to take care of my daughter. I need to feel useful. No one ever takes care of me. I need someone to take care of me.
Do you realize Carol is a person? Not a toy. Not a doll. The poor girl would put her hand in a flame to please you. You are both trapped in this toxic relationship.
Carol and I are perfectly happy.
Damn, you had a chance. You had a chance.
How stupid I was to believe you could be a suitable husband.
You're a threat to Carol, and no child should feel unsafe in the presence of their parents.
No, Dr. Reed. You are the threat. You are threatening to separate a mother from her only daughter, from the meaning of her life.
A suitable husband for Carol. I think for her right now, it doesn't matter. Hey, this was really tense. We've had a really tense conversation. Let me look at your wares, though.
May I look at your goods, Miss Price?
It's always a pleasure. Take all the time you need.
Video games. Let's see. I mean, I'll buy your quinine. Your rivets, I guess. Was this witch trying to marry her young daughter to this much older man who was her doctor? Definitely. Okay, Carol's downstairs, so we have a perfect opportunity.
It's locked.
I can't get in her register.
Good evening.
You know you can go.
I think it's time. Interesting fade to black to warp her out front of the counter. Come with me. We're gonna go on a little walk. Just gonna go on a little walk.
Poor me. Oh no, poor me. I'm dying. For real. No one will cry for me now.
Wow. Your last thoughts when you're dying are poor me? How fucking selfish. There are people starving in the world right now. Why aren't you thinking about me when you die? Stop. I want to know about this key. Is that just the key to the register? Yeah. Hey, do we know all the people in the district now? We do. Cool. No one hit me within years of hearing that shit. Steal back the money I spent. Carol check. Checking around for a Carol moment. Downstairs. I just want to touch base with her after doing that. I want to just sort of touch base. Get the lore. Know what I'm saying, detective? Nothing to see here, detective. Maybe you could have detected the child abuse case, but instead you're out here looking for vampires that aren't even real. Come on, Carol. Let's have a little chat. Carol's like fully ripe. I'm more interested to see what happens if she survives. I don't think I'm gonna get her. That injury on her hand.
Good evening, young.
My mother always prefers when people simply call me Carol.
Hey, personal question.
You need to understand you are in danger, Carol. Your mother is responsible for all your injuries.
That's a lie. She has always taken good care of me. She only gets irritated when I get under her feet. It's my fault. My mum loves me so much.
Yes,
Carol. This is going to take a long time to unravel.
She loves you as much as you're convinced she loves you. But you are both trapped in a toxic relationship that puts you in danger.
What are you saying? That she lied to me all these years? That she wants me to be miserable? My mother has dedicated her life to my safety.
Your mother claims she cares for you, But you're just a vessel for her disease. I even suspect she doesn't see you as a person, but only as a part of herself.
Stop that. How dare you?
Mm-hmm. Hard to hear, I know.
There's no need for you to return from that stupid war if it's only to make us suffer.
Failed the hint, that's fine. I'm not even trying to get her.
Is it true you often hurt yourself, Carol?
Yes, it's true. I try to behave, I really do. But one way or another, I always end up injured or wounded. I'm so stupid.
Why would you be stupid?
It's like I can't help getting under my mother's feet. That's how I end up being pushed, cut, or burned. You see, I'm a stupid girl, really.
When exactly do these accidents happen?
Ever since I was little. That's why I need to stay with Mum. I'm not capable.
Wouldn't surprise me if current clothes were hand-me-downs. I thought they looked a little dated, even like for the stuff, and that makes a lot of sense. Dated for the well, what's it? Dated for the period. Yeah, cool. So I think I'm gonna let her just kind of live, and just see what happens.
I am sorry, I can't help you.
Let's see here. That was cool. That was a cool little side bit. Yeah, okay. I'm not gonna be able to like find Louise again. Where are we going now? All the way back to the Pembroke. That's crazy. And we gotta stop by Lady Ashbury to see what she's doing. So let's double back. Love me a video game without fast travel. So if I just follow through the mall.
Are you from Ascalon? I don't care.
Idiot. Thought he was hot shit. Ooh. West End is stable. Why is this area so turnt right now? Who knows? Stop. Okay, Dove, get away, get away. Aha, I've learned. I've learned that they go boom. Oh shit. Hold on. I think I might have almost boundary broken accident there. Doug Bleeding Heart. Hey, it's me, everybody. Doug Bleeding Heart. I need to find out where Mr. Kimura hangs out, man. This shit ain't nothing to me, man. Just some enemies. What was that? Why am I getting that noise? I love being a high-level vampire. Hold on. You gotta loot. Pardon me, Biles the Nutler. Calhoun Russell. I need to find out where Mr. Kimura is, because, like, we rescued him and then never saw him again. And, like, what's his lore? What's his deal? Certainly doesn't live out here. I also got to find out what her deal is. But I think we have to do a listen prompt for that. Map check. Oh, there he is.
London has brought so much pain to me. We meet again, Mr. Kimura, in a more peaceful situation.
Dr. Reed, still visiting London by night?
We must both be nocturnal animals, you and I. After your captivity, I thought you'd be more cautious.
Breathing the cold night air helps calm my mind, sir. I've had the most frightening nightmares since I escaped that filthy jail.
Believe it.
May I ask you what you do for a living, Mr. Kimura?
I was a landlord. A wealthy one. And not a very kind one, I realized recently.
Wow.
Sudden epiphany. Is it because of your near-death experience?
I was already feeling nostalgic about Weymouth, my hometown. With recent events, I'm thinking about going back there.
So, are you a reformed landlord, or are you just a landlord whose current life situation prevents you from doing an evil crime?
How is the situation in the West End?
I've heard rumors about armed men patrolling and fighting infected citizens in these very streets. I was lucky they didn't shoot me when I was abducted.
Uh-huh.
What can you tell me about your abduction?
If you really want to know, I was locked in that building for 3 or 4 days. My jailer was insane, mumbling about sacrifice and voices.
Classic.
And why didn't he sacrifice you?
That was the weirdest part. He claimed to spill blood was not enough. It had to be done when some stars were alive.
Ah.
Stars. That's the whole point. He wanted me to talk to him about some Red Queen configuration or constellation. I've never heard of such an astronomical term.
Uh-huh.
What did he say about voices?
He constantly whined about the voice of his master, ordering him to do terrible things. He wanted to silence the voice by offering blood. My blood.
Interesting.
Why are you so nostalgic for your hometown, Tadao?
I was focused so much on making money, I almost forgot that my relatives and friends are threatened by this epidemic.
So, not giving a shit about the people you were exploiting.
Have you heard anything from your family?
I was not only a bad landlord, I was also a bad husband. I've not seen my wife and son for years. Busy, busy, busy.
At least now you're ready to go back and see them. But don't be surprised if your son bears a grudge, sir.
You make it sound like you suffered from an absent father yourself, Dr. Reed. Well, I'll keep your warning in mind.
Have you no friends at all?
Over the years, I'm afraid my greed turned me into my friend's adversary, while I became friends with my professional rivals.
Those you grew up with didn't share your views on money and success.
Would you believe I was once a member of poetry circles and an astronomy club? We were young, such joyful dreamers then. But I stopped laughing long ago.
This is weird. I want to just find out if he actually gives a shit about, like, the evils of being a landlord.
Can you change? And is it what you really want? If so, it must come from within, not without.
I've seen what an altruistic gesture can do. Nothing forced you to save me, Dr. Reed, but you did. I will follow your example in these matters from now on.
Follow my example, then. Find a complete stranger and help him or her the best you can. Then invite him or her to do the same.
You know what? That's not a bad plan, actually. And I should start with my family, for they are almost strangers to me now.
I think I'm just gonna get him. Let me just check the district stability. I don't think I want to butts with this until we're ready to really do a full bulk harvest on everyone.
Tell me, Tadao, why was your abductor so interested in your passion for astronomy?
I don't know. We met a few times at the Royal Greenwich Observatory.
Uh-huh.
He seemed to share my hobby. Then he invited me to his house and locked me in.
Uh-huh. Astronomy is fascinating like that.
Yes. Astronomy is a fascinating subject. When I was
Random thought you remind me of white Pikmin. I didn't know they came in that color. I thought there was like yellow, blue, red, green.
a pleasant evening stargazing.
Stars are not just dots in the sky, Doctor. They are the key to our understanding of the cosmos. They remind us how insignificant we are.
You're right. But children love magic and stories. I remember our mother told us constellations have the power to protect us.
Protection by the light of the stars.
That's cute.
That's sweet. You remember the name of these constellations?
Cygnus. The constellation that was supposed to protect Mary.
Memory's a strange thing. I can recite without hesitation the names of the 88 constellations. Yet I barely remember my own childhood.
Wow. An ad break is starting in like 10 seconds. I'll see you in a bit. and welcome back in. Ooh. Did I accidentally... I did. I accidentally stripped myself naked. Luckily, my entire body was not on screen. Haha. There we go. You all missed the fuck out.
Did he fake his interest in astronomy to get close to you?
No. In his madness, he spoke about a blood sacrifice to be made to his master when the stars aligned to a specific configuration.
Streamer accidentally naked on stream, right? Ah! Alright, more of my Diet Coke for me.
Goodbye, Mr. Kimura.
Alright, Mr. Kimura. I'm also thinking, since I'm in the area, I should check in on the girlie who's brain frimbled. Karina Billow. Nothing new.
He is dead.
I'm short one hint, and I'm wondering, since she's already under a different vamp's mesmer. And here I sip my candle, I'm gonna get more water. No, drink the candle. I'm wondering if I just mesmerize her, I'll get something. No? Okay. She's like, what just happened? I'm not surprised nothing happened, just because like this would be the first and only time in the game that would have done anything. So it would have been a little weird and obtuse. Okay, just sitting on a bench.
I must...
Come on, Karina. What are you doing? Do you have a schedule or not?
I must go.
Come on, we're in combat now. I bet she goes down here. This is a locked area. I bet she goes down there. Ms. Billow, please. Rise from thy bench. Good. Please don't be walking to a secondary bench. Okay, just looking for rats. Ah! Alright, fine, more Diet Coke. Banch. Wonder if I can prog her through this.
I must...
Right? I'm happy we've discovered this, that we can make them skip an action into the next part of their route by doing dialogues. Looks like it doesn't skip sitting, unfortunately. In fact, it might reset the timer on sitting, so let's really not talk to them when they sit. Okay, here we go. And I think I can... Yeah. Give me your lore, Karina.
You juicing warm treat.
That's how I talk to you, chat.
Oh my! What have we got here? Dead rat. Oh, so gross. So tempting.
This is what I do to you, chat.
Eternal life. Through the blood of the lesser beasts, he said. Oh, dear God, help me. Save me, for I can't stand what I've become.
Okay. Useful little hint. I'd like to maybe embrace her. Maybe this bitch is allowed to be a vampire. Hi, girly. No, let's talk. Let's talk. Personal question. Hey, personal question. Why do you eat rats?
Why do you eat rats, Karina?
Their flesh contains the path to immortality. I have to eat them all if I want to live. Help me. Please. Make it stop.
I don't know if I can, miss. You have been tricked, forced to play a disgusting game. I don't know how to save you.
Kill me then, Doctor. Take my life. I beg you.
If that's what you want.
That's really what you want. Is it really what you want, Miss Billow?
No, it's not what I want. I wanted to live forever, but I've been tricked. Now I want this torture to stop. So, yes, sir. Make it stop.
Tell me what really happened to you, Karina.
He was so handsome.
Yeah.
So charming.
Sure.
He asked if I'd obey him in every way. I said yes. And then
He tricked you.
yes, he has promised me eternal life. And now I must eat these rodents for attaining it. But of course, it's a lie.
I would love to just kind of embrace her and give her a better version of vampirism, but I think we're just going to take her out. Other people in the district can wait. I don't think she can wait. I feel like... Why are we going up here, John? That was already a pretty secluded location, John. Oh, we gotta waltz all the way over here. Jeez, take her to fucking Exeter.
Thank you for releasing me. I can finally say the name of my torturer. It's Jacob Blackwood.
Ooh. That was cool. Do I know a Jacob Blackwood? Checking. Checking every name on the list. Not on my lists. But now I know a name to look out for. Cool. Jacob Blackwood. Soap poisoning. Oh. Now that's a movie. That's an interesting movie. There's a lot to discuss with regards to that movie. Hey, hi, it's a whole movie. You're the only power. You're the only power. Stop, Dove, stop. Okay, we're gonna talk to Lady Ashbury. I think she's gonna be a little bit angry that we've been doing so much murder killing. She might get a little angry. Me when wife is upset. Has Jonathan been a bad boy? He's been a terrible boy. He's been a terrible, no good boy.
Elizabeth, I'm so happy to see you. I was so concerned.
It is also good to see you in these darkened
Mm.
hours. Is all well?
Either she's cool with it or the news hasn't gotten to her.
Stand upon the precipice. Has the news reached you of Edgar Swansea?
No. I returned home but moments ago. What of him?
Your friend, the well-informed old Bridget, tells me the Guard of Priwen has assaulted Pembroke. I fear Edgar tops their bloody list.
Bridget. She is such a tragic figure.
Ooh.
And yet, I sense deep inside, she has a delicate, fragile soul.
They had Yuri together.
Indeed, she has. I'm glad you like her too.
Once this is all over, I will study the sewer skulls. I fear I have made terrible mistakes, founded upon erroneous preconceptions.
I was concerned for your safety. McCullum draws too close to you for my comfort.
Fear not. I've evaded the hunters for many a year, and I intend to stay far from their gases, flames, and spikes. Now, speak to me of Dawson.
Aloysius Dawson is no more. I took care of him.
I imagine the Lord Redgrave was...
We have a power throuple? I would love it.
Has defrocked me and threatened
Defrocked?
the city. This was no doubt inevitable.
You did what you thought was right at the time. One can ask no more. The important task now at hand is to help poor Edgar.
Now I am assured of your safety. That is precisely my intention.
Good. Now go, my dear, and return with good news with the greatest haste.
She's so cool. She's so cool. What a good character. And when I say what a good character, I am saying that with full understanding that a big chunk of my opinion of her comes from the really good OST presenting her energy and her presence. Defrogged, how cruel. Who are they to take our frogs? they're taking away the gay frogs during Pride Month. Okay, so Pembroke's gonna have some trouble.
Best be moving on.
Burn it, boys!
Woo! Nice quick stab. That's the right way, yeah? Yeah, okay. Cross this bridge, take a left.
What is this? Are the vampire hunters here already?
What? Let's go sideways into the Pembroke.
This is serious.
Sideways like a crab. Yeah, yeah. Crab on into the hospital. I bet this is where this becomes relevant. No? Oh, I hope they didn't get Thelma.
This dead flesh needs it.
Okay, Thelma's still good. Everyone relax. Thelma is still okay. Take a breath. Thelma's all right.
Those bastards. What have they done to Edgar?
Oh, they just got specifically Edgar.
He's wounded. I better follow the blood.
Oh, they're laying a trap. They're leaving a blood trail because they're laying a trap. Oh, hey, we finally get to go up these fucking stairs. Here, I thought they were merely decorative. Is that an elevator? That's such a big elevator. Were we able to get him that big back then? Did they really, were they able to haul that much freight vertically back then? With an electric elevator? I bet they broke down a lot. You know what? No, don't assume that, Dove. People are clever. They hadn't invented planned obsolescence yet, so maybe it's fine. Hey, this is a boss room. Hey!
Ultraviolet curtains and orichalcum powder. Dr. Swansea's always been a resourceful bastard. I bet he never told you he had this installed in case of a vampire attack. Says a lot about how much he trusts you.
He's sizzling.
With Edgar. Don't worry. We don't kill humans. Even if your friend is deserving of a little punishment for what.
What are you talking about?
We know everything. Swansea and you created this bloody epidemic. You aim to unleash another disaster, just like William Marshall did.
No, I'm trying to put an end to it, just like you are.
You're its progeny, aren't you? Where is the monster hiding? It's still in England, isn't it?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Jeffrey, please listen to me.
No tricks. That shit won't work on me. We found proof in the theater. Doris Fletcher was your first experiment. Now where is Marshall?
Ah.
So much for modern technology. Time for the tried and true. Do you know what this is, Beast? This is a drop of King Arthur's blood. The blood of a true defender of Britain. Stronger than your evil powers.
Sorry. Did you just drink a drop of King Arthur's blood to try to fight a vampire?
This is ridiculous.
That's horny as hell.
Precious time.
That is so horny.
True enough. Soon I'll bring your head before your coward of a father. True light will cleanse you.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, well. This doesn't seem incredibly difficult. Woo! I don't know. It's a fun combat gimmick. Woo! Iframes through the spotlight. Eh. Stupid. It's so sexy and hot and yaoi. It really is.
Come on.
Stupid. Stupid.
We are the guardian of justice. Priwen shall prevail.
You can't accept the fact we're not enemies, can you?
We always have been, and we always will be.
Looking down while I'm painting, my ears are full of man grunts. It's great.
Your kind are the worst.
You hunted me down.
I was only reborn for a few minutes before you and your men hunted me down like a beast.
You were only reborn for a few minutes, and you'd already taken the life of an innocent woman.
There is no way you'll ever let me be, McCullum. You'll always hunt me down, won't you?
There is no escape, Leech. Kill me now, for there is no way you can sway me to your ideals.
That's where you're mistaken.
Oh?
What do you
mean? Ooh. 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 Guys, you want to do some yaoi? Do you want to make him into a vampire? I feel like this feels like shoplifting. This feels like stuffing a man in my pocket on the way out before the camera can spot me. You can't hold a man's face like this and act like this isn't meant to be romantic. Let's do it. This is gonna be our first character we turn because it's boy x boy.
I'll make you a vampire. I'll make you one of us.
No! Kill me!
It's so cheap too. Only 1,000 XP.
Prepare yourself, Hunter. You're about to be hunted, just like me.
No! No!
When I kissed my poor man goodbye, I had no idea what I was doing. But now I do. Consider this a kiss of Judas.
Oh my god! He called it a kiss! Gay people! Gay people in my computer!
Welcome to the world through the looking glass.
Oh, get him! Get him! It's Peem! It's so Peem! Happy Pride! Yeah, baby! Yowie! Hey, maybe this is Game of the Year. Game of the Year 2025. For the low, low price of 1,000 XP, we did that to a man. Hydrate. Yeah, I need it. Still don't know what happened to Edgar. If Edgar saw that we did that to another man, he would cry and piss and kill himself. Cheap boyfriend time. Yeah, he's real cheap.
It's locked, all right.
It's locked.
It's locked.
It's locked. It's locked. Oh! Ah, thank you for the follow, Classy Neko. Was it the Yowie? Was it the Yowie that did it? I don't know if you just stopped in or if you were in for like a minute or two ago when we just had the most incredible vampire on vampire boy x boy Yowie experience, which is worth following. Okay. Reached Doris Fletcher's estate. Oh yeah, because that was where the evidence was. Back to the theater. It'd be faster to take a left. Oh, hold on. Disease check. I gotta check on people's diseases. Dr. Tippett has a headache. Dr. Tippett. Dare I say, woo. Hi, Hound. You just missed out on some catastrophic yaoi.
Do you need any med?
Yes,
I have not. Goodbye, Dr. Tippett.
Truly catastrophic yaoi. Okay. Hold on. Tippett is healing up. Louise, we're just gonna have to deal with. Okay, cool. Well, do tell. The head vampire hunter we just had a boss fight with, and we had the option to kill him or turn him into a vampire, and it was framed as like a kiss of Judas. Because this game is extremely homosexual. Whew, indeed. Whew. I let Judas kiss me. I had a boyfriend named Jude once. Close enough. Yeah, close enough. Yeah, you guys know Lady Gaga's hit song Judas? That one rules. That's basically what happened in Vampyr, the video game. Hey, Jude. I may have expressed this sentiment before, but I'll do it again. I don't really care for the Beatles. Every Beatles song I've heard, meh. Not compelling. Oh, right, combat. Ooh. Give me the juice, give me the juice. Mediocre, honestly. Lay it out. Lay it out. So real. And you know, I'll bet, I honestly do believe people when they say that like they revolutionized music or like or in the industry, and they say shit like what they did was very technically impressive. Fine. But that doesn't change the fact that I feel like a lot of the reason it has staying power is because of its position as a cultural moment and not its own actual quality. The Beatles are for when you're 14 or born in the 50s. Yeah, exactly. Laid it out right there. It's the Seinfeld effect. What do you mean? I mean, based off context, I'm assuming the Seinfeld effect is maybe Seinfeld only matters because it was like really important when it hit. And then it just is a cultural staple now, despite the fact that it's not good.
So Priwen never left Doris's theater after they invaded. They must be holding Edgar here in their new headquarters.
It was revolutionary in ways that became the norm thereafter and made it mundane. That makes sense. By the time it was novel, new, and did stir things up, a lot of people jumped on it, and it was a bit of a counterculture thing because of what it was in the time it was. That makes sense too. And like I understand that the Beatles, like many cultural moments, received a lot of contemporary hate because it was primarily liked by young femmes, which means that immediately it just sort of received a lot of hate that it didn't deserve. I just like think sometimes that there is a small amount of hate that is founded. Woo! That dude's audio is broken. There we go. He's supposed to be shouting barks and shit. Stop. Hee hee. Young Femmes is a great punk band name. Oh yeah, honestly. Barks like a good dog. Yeah, he wasn't barking. Just finished reading Doris Fletcher's journal. As painful and dreadful as it was, my God, the woman planned to see everyone in London afflicted by affecting all who would come to her next play. It helped me understand greatly what is going on. Doris Fletcher's real name was Doris Jones. She was the daughter of some Harriet Jones. Harriet Jones! Who'd been treated as a patient for a long time at Pembroke. She clearly hated her mother, but used her fame and her... Okay, this is all connecting. Present that vampire in the same hospital where Harriet Jones was treated can't be a coincidence. I'm convinced he is deeply involved with the vampire plague going on in London right now. I see it. Also, convinced Swansea is his accomplice, and that those are two planning something more terrifying than anything the guard has ever faced. Maybe I should take some time to read the old books and manuscripts at the Guard Hill. Okay. Took me 2 days to parse through the dusty registers and books to keep in the vault. God, I hate losing time like this. The search did prove fruitful for once. Found 2 pages that could be related to our present situation in William Marshall's memoirs. The creature Marshall says he fought in 1666, this disaster that aims to destroy London, is very similar to what happened with Doris Fletcher. Disease, infection, hate of the living. Okay. It's all connecting. Okay. Why is it why Marshall destroyed him? Okay. Hold on. But those two are clearly working together, and Swansea is helping them. I will immediately give orders to have him arrested and interrogated. As for me to destroy that evil beast myself. Okay.
Fletcher was about to be...
Oh, ad break starting. I didn't even notice. See you guys in a bit. And welcome back in.
Come, a disaster. I'm getting close to having all the evidence.
The fruits plus I got 5 on it is such a great fucking combo for sure. Ah! Ooh.
I cannot enter.
Okay, okay. We haven't jaquaid the dungeon. Hi. Idiot. He thought he could tangle with me. Come together with me, on a journey with me. The Vampire Knight. That's an anime. What does that say? Cutie alert. Oh my gosh, that's me. I'm the cutie. William Marshall, forget the legend about the man. The one most of you never heard of, you lazy bastards. Forget the empty tomb in the temple church. Forget the death of those among us. Among us who died trying to locate him. We, the guard. I'm trying to read. Go ahead and throw hydrate at. Look, he's been a vampire for 1,000 years. That's what the document says. So here are a few questions for you lazy bastards, and I want all of them answered before speaking of another great hunt to pin the leech down. Who helped him escape his den under the temple church? Oh, someone let him out. Stop! I'm trying to understand the lore. Why does the monstrosity known as Lady Blackwood seem linked to Marshall? Wait, there was a Blackwood that we've already heard about. Interesting. Is Lady Ashbury also Lady Blackwood? Have we fallen for her wiles? William Marshall's memoirs? This is a lot of reading. Yeah, Jacob Blackwood. Ooh. Meet me in London. Okay, so the William Marshall's memoirs. Okay, this is from him directly. They acknowledge my victory against the evil creature, the Du Astro, the eater of stars, who only wished to spread death and pestilence all around her. The primate of St. Paul wrote back to me just in time. The tear of angels. According to him, this ancient artifact could heal anything, cleanse any blackened soul, and purify my blood. Blessed be the Lord. Okay, got it.
Blood of a pure heart, garlic, blood of a king. I don't understand.
Interesting.
Perhaps this is what McCullum drank. I had better keep that in mind.
Oh.
Edgar. Edgar, can you hear me?
Jonathan, is it really you?
Don't hold his face like that. Gay people.
Easy. Easy. Save your strength. I'm getting you out of here.
Don't try to spare me. As a physician, I know all too well when it's too late.
Oh, it is? Cool. Can I have your juice?
Lung, broken ribs, internal bleeding. An accurate diagnosis, wouldn't you say?
Edgar, what happened?
They wanted me to confess. Beat me black and blue.
Classic.
Jeffrey McCullum ambushed me at the Pembroke Hospital. He was convinced you and I were responsible for the Skal epidemic.
I never imagined that self-righteous fanatic would dare to attack us in the open. What became of him?
I put him in a somewhat delicate position when I made him an immortal.
Really? You sure that was the wisest course of
He's jealous. He wanted the kiss.
The most intriguing part of his accusation was that you and I were the pawns of some ancient vampire.
William Marshall. Yes, they tortured me to make me confess the same nonsense.
I think you're hiding something, Edgar.
What do you mean?
William Marshall, for example. You speak of him as if you know him. How is that?
Jonathan, I cannot say I'm ready for another round of questions.
Oh, yeah?
What can you tell me about William Marshall?
Not much. History paints the story he was the greatest knight who ever lived. Amongst the immortals, he had a yet greater legend.
Why would he deserve such a reputation?
Tell me the lore.
I cannot say. The Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole has next to no intelligence on him. All I know is that he's supposed to be the oldest of all the British vampires.
Why is the Guard of Priwen so obsessed with him?
He was the only ancient vampire to escape the first great hunt launched by the Guard of Priwen in 1854. They believe he's an evil creature plotting his return.
Makes sense.
Why would the Guard of Priwen believe?
Why would you?
Vampire epidemic.
Maybe due to our profession. Because I offered you shelter in my hospital.
While investigating the epidemic, I read some of McCullum's findings.
Yeah.
I think you have some explaining to do.
Yeah, lay it out.
I have nothing to hide, Jonathan. Nothing at all.
Do you know Doris?
No.
Her real name was Doris Jones.
She
was the daughter of Harriet Jones.
Yeah, fine.
What do you want me to say, Jonathan?
Do you remember when we suspected Sean Hampton of killing Harriet Jones?
Was it you?
Yes. The terrible episode.
What did you have to do with this?
Came as a shock to
Ed.
Harriet Jones faked her own death. When I found her in the sewers, she confessed she wanted everybody to pay for what happened to her.
That woman was extremely bitter, full of hatred and festering anger.
Doris Fletcher visited her mother at the Pembroke Hospital. That's how she first got infected.
I know nothing about that. Miss Fletcher once came to visit the sick. That is all I know.
No, Edgar, there is more. Doris Fletcher was Harriet Jones's daughter. They exhibited the same symptoms: blind hate and strong physical mutation.
What does this sad story have to do with us?
They're of the Blackwood line.
Come on, Edgar. Don't you see the pattern here? The epidemic, the link between Doris and Harriet, the suspicion of McCullum?
How could I? I never saw Harriet Jones again after she fled the hospital.
Do you know where we are? Doris Fletcher's theater. This is where that hateful creature plotted to spread the epidemic across London.
I own certain diseases are known to...
Yeah, okay. So a lot of these are like us trying to like pin him down with something, but it seems like it's more like the game presenting evidence before us, the player, to see if we can get to the conclusion before John does. And my conclusion that I feel like I'm being funneled toward is there is a genetic predisposition to how the disease will manifest in a person, and it will, and this Blackwood family might be the descendants of this first great disease spreader.
Doris and Harriet shared more than a hidden family bond. They were the embodiment of the epidemic and are linked to the Pembroke Hospital. Come on, Edgar, this is no coincidence.
I swear I'm at a complete loss. All I did was administer vampire blood to cure old Harriet. There was no evil plan, no diabolical plot.
You did what?
I tested the regenerating and healing properties of vampire blood on Harriet Jones. My only intention was to find the cure for influenza.
Okay,
What
okay.
did you use? William Marshall's? Mine?
Lady Ashbury's. Infusing her with human blood, humanely appeasing her hunger, I also kept samples of her blood for my research.
You used her blood on Harriet Jones. My God, Edgar, that's unethical. You betrayed 2 of your patients at the same time.
Lady Ashbury is the Blackwood.
Judge me. Must I name the alarming list of your victims?
We are both deceivers. But at least I know I'm a monster.
Get him.
You have worked beside me. You saw what I'm doing at Pembroke Hospital. Jonathan, you know I'm not an evil soul. Just another victim of this tragedy.
He's like, I'm so wet. I'm so wet and small. Well, give me your XP then.
Yes. Your death is imminent, Dr. Swansea.
He wants this. He's so gay, he wants this.
I already told you to call me Edgar. Am I no longer your friend?
Whoa.
I believe you never have been, sir. You have lied to me at every step and betrayed the trust of a woman I cherish.
You're straight?
Lady?
You're straight, huh?
I should have seen it coming. May I add that I welcome this. The biting, I mean.
Oh my god.
Is it going to hurt? I always wondered.
This game is so fucking homoerotic, it's crazy. Hint failed. Oh, because I could have kept him alive. Well, I've got Mesmer level 5, so might be time to go Scorched Earth on the Pembroke. The district will soon suffer the consequences. Oh, don't you worry. I'm not done with my actions. Old love letter. Exquisite friend, everything is now ready for your journey to France. We'll leave from Dover on 17th. Can't wait for the music for you to get. Evan Rostand will be there. Calhoun Russell. A love letter from Calhoun Russell. Oh, ah. They're yelling up there, but I can just go out the front door. Wow, gang, what an incredible session of Vampyr. Incredible levels of yaoi afoot. Such great vast quantities of yaoi afoot.
Return at a more convenient time.
Yaoi feet? Yeah, I'm certain those are around. Gang, this has been a lovely little session of playing Vampyr. We've learned a lot of fun lessons. We've learned... Get out of here. We've learned that if ever you have a boss fight with someone who is a he-him and you're also a he-him, give him the little kiss of Judas moment. Give him the little kiss of Judas moment. Put a little blood in his mouth. This is a great session. So much yaoi. And also a little bit of Yuri they slipped in under the rug, which is great. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely thrilled. What a great gaming session. We're going to call it here because I feel like this is a proper plot beat for it. And when we come back, it'll be juicing time for the entire Pembroke. Let's see who we can raid. Ghost is live! Ghost is live! I'm going to deposit you all on this cute little dog boy who is so stabbable. Chat, when we all arrive, we're all going to say the same thing. In all caps, we're going to say stabs you, stabs you, stabs you. Got it? You ready? Let's fucking go! Good morning.